York Mets baseball is brought to you by Budweiser, Beechwood Age, for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By your Tri-State Toyota dealers, who invite you to come in and test drive a Toyota and ride with the best. By AT&T, the right choice. By today's TWA, find out how good we really are. By Texaco, star of the American road. By 9X Yellow Pages, if it's out there, it's in here. And by MetLife and affiliated companies. Get Met. It pays.
From Olympic Stadium in Montreal, Quebec, Sports Channel presents Mets Baseball. Today, the Mets take on the Montreal EXPOS. Hello again, everybody. I'm Fran Healy, along with Ralph Kiner and Tim McCarver, and we'll bring you all the action as the Mets open up Baseball 88 here in Montreal, Canada. And the Mets on paper, I guess, are probably the best team in baseball, but you can throw the paper away. It's opening day. They have to do it on the field, Ralph, and I guess they do have a question mark, and that's at shortstop with Keven Elster.
Well, Keven Elster will be the starting shortstop for the Mets. He's had a little bit of Major League experience. He'll be out there in place of Santana, who was the starting shortstop for the Mets when they were the World Champions 2 years ago. But Elster had a good spring. He looks like an outstanding ball player with more range, and I think that he'll do the job. The Mets certainly interesting team on opening day, Fran. They lost their first 8 opening day games, including a loss to the Montreal EXPOS back in 1969 when Montreal opened up their first opening day game. And then the Mets had a hot streak and won 9 in a row, and they overall now are on the plus side for opening days.
Well, when you talk about the Mets, you got to talk about the man at the top on the field, Davey Johnson. And right now we'll go down to Tim McCarver because he has Davey.
All right, Fran, thank you very much. The Mets winners of 108 games 2 years ago, and last year slipped by 16 to 92. And Davey, I guess more than anything else, the most pertinent thing is you've got to be happy because your pitchers are healthy this year.
Well, there's no doubt about it, Timmy. You know, it's important this spring to see how my starters felt. My top 7 pitchers were hurt last year. And then the other big thing was my relievers. I was really concerned about McDowell. He overthrew last year and his ball straightened out, and he didn't have a good year. So he's throwing that good sinker now, and Randy McDowell's throwing good, so we feel good about our staff.
Ralph and Franny touched on Keven Elster at shortstop. Is he nervous? Your plans on handling him the spring that he had in general?
Well, I was concerned in the spring and making sure he didn't start pressing really in the spring, and he did that a little early, and I had to talk to him a couple of times and set him down, and he had a great spring, and that was important so that he'd feel like he belongs in this ball club, and he's an integral part to it, and he's relaxed, and I look for him to have a great year.
Any other problems that you foresee in the early going?
I really don't. I think the division's going to be real strong. I really like my ball club. I think we're geared up not only physically but mentally to have a great year.
And as far as your pitching is concerned, again, you've got to be happy they're healthy. I mean, after all, Gooden and McDowell were both missing last year.
Well, you know, we had a lot of unfortunate things happen to us last year, and I feel we learned from it, and we're hungry this year, and we're out to have a good time, and it's going to be tough on the rest of the clubs.
Well, good luck to you, Davey. The Mets, strong favorites this year in the National League East, but the Montreal EXPOS certainly will have something to say, along with a couple of other teams. Now let's go back to the booth to Ralph and Fran.
Okay, Tim, and of course the Mets had a fine spring, their best ever, winning 19 ball games, and the Expos also a good spring. They were 17-13, and of course we're playing inside opening day, the first opening day ever here in Montreal. They had a couple scheduled. One of them was called off because of a strike, a baseball strike. Another was called off because of snow. They couldn't play in the snow at Jare Park. That was with the Cubs back in 1974. But now with the dome enclosed, we have an opening day game here in Montreal. No chance for rain or snow. It's raining outside. The opening day ceremony is taking place. This is the 20th anniversary of the Montreal EXPOS. They started back in 1969. They opened at Chase Stadium that year and defeated the Mets. Tom Seaver, the starting pitcher, was knocked out of the box. The score of that game was 12-11. So Montreal winning their first opening day game ever. The Mets had to wait 9 years before they could win an opening day game.
And Ralph, you've seen every opening day game the Mets have played. Have you seen a stronger New York Met ball club to start a season?
No doubt about this club being the best club that the Mets have started the season. And, of course, that's even including the 1969 World Champions, the 1973 Mets team that lost in the 7th game in the World Series to Oakland, and the 1986 team that won 108 ball games. I think this ball club is a stronger ball club, but that doesn't always mean you're going to win all those games.
Yeah, everybody talks about on paper, and the Mets do have that great ball club on paper. Season's going to start in just a few moments, and now they have to do it on the field. We mentioned Keven Elster as a question mark. That's a pretty positive question mark.
That's almost an exclamation point.
It really is.
Because Keven Elster is considered to be a plus over Rafael Santana, and Santana, a fine ball player. We'll be back to talk about all this and take a look at what's going to take place here on this opening day game for the 1988 season right after this message. Opening day ceremonies here in Montreal on a big day. They have a tremendous crowd here for this opening day game. Dome Stadium. Weather outside is very bad. In fact, we couldn't be playing if this game were outside. And going for the New York Mets, Dwight Gooden, who was the youngest pitcher to ever open up a game in modern-day baseball. That would go back to 1900. Dwight Gooden at the age of 20 against St. Louis 2 years ago, the opening day pitcher. And a pitcher by the name of John Montgomery Ward back in 1896, the youngest ever to open up on opening day. He was 19 years of age, and he was pitching for Providence.
Did he open
Providence Braves.
He didn't open a store after that, did he? Montgomery Ward?
I think he might have.
By the way, the other pitcher in today's ball game had a fine year last year at the Expos. There he is, Dennis Martinez. Last year against the Mets, Martinez 4-0. 0.64 ERA. He has a good fastball, curve, slider, and a changeup. Had some fine years with the Baltimore Orioles.
And he certainly is a interesting story. The first pitcher ever to pitch in the major leagues from Nicaragua, and also a pitcher who had to go through a rehab on alcohol and now making a tremendous comeback with a great season. Of course, you saw Tim Raines right there, the great ball player for the Montreal Expos. He made his debut against the Mets on May 2nd last year. He couldn't play until then because he had not signed with Montreal early enough to be able to be eligible for the start of the season. And in that ball game, his first time up, he tripled, and he won the ball game with a grand slam home run in that very first game on May 2nd against the Mets, and that home run hit off of Jesse Orozco. Tim Raines.
Well, we talked about Keven Elster, and he's got butterflies. I'm sure everybody has butterflies, and we talked to Keven Elster.
If you don't, there's something wrong with it.
That's right, we've got him. We're under a lot of pressure up here. Well, I talked to Keven Elster and asked him to compare the butterflies today to back when he played in the World Series in 1986. Here's what he had to say.
Well, that's kind of a hard comparison. Butterflies are butterflies to me. I have tremendous. I'm nervous today, and I was nervous in '86, probably more in '86, because it was my first time up and it was a World Series and all. But you know, you always get butterflies on opening day, and I got them throughout my career, and it wouldn't be right if I didn't have them today. So.
And there's Keven Elster, and talking about Keven Elster with the Mets, of course, the Mets very high on him, and everybody else, the scouts throughout baseball, talking glowing terms about Keven Elster. I talked to Bucky Dent down in Fort Lauderdale, spring training, and he managed against Keven Elster last year when Bucky managed Columbus and Kevin played for Tidewater. He said he can play. He said he can pick it, and he can hit that high fastball, too. And talking about shortstops, how about this guy right here, Luis Rivera?
He's had little major league experience, as Keven Elster does, and he will be the starting shortstop. And a big move. They moved Hubie Brooks out of the shortstop position to right field to make room for Luis Rivera.
And I asked Luis Rivera about that move, and here's what he had to say.
The right field.
Well, I feel very happy. I feel proud and being the regular shortstop for the Expos this year, and hopefully for many years. And I don't know what made them decide to move Hubie to right field. I don't know if it was because the way he played shortstop, because with the season I got last year in AAA. But I really don't care why they move me over there. I just glad they give me a chance, and I try to do my best.
Well, Luis Rivera, the shortstop, starting shortstop for the Expos today. And there's Hubie Brooks. And you know, Ralph, moving from one position to another because of a deficiency, it has to bother Hubie Brooks. There's no doubt about it.
Well, Hubie has played the outfield. He played that in college. And, of course, he started his career with the Mets as a third baseman. He's a great person, and he has handled his change very well. He said anything that will help the team is fine. And there is Buck Rodgers, the manager of the year last year when he took Montreal to a close third-place finish. In fact, Montreal and the Mets were in the race until Montreal lost to the St. Louis Cardinals in that last week. And that eliminated the Mets, too, because the Mets had 3 more games with the Cardinals, and the Cardinals went to over 3 games ahead of the Mets, and the Mets had no chance to defeat the Cardinals in those last 3 games to take first.
For 2 years now, the Expos have been a big question mark. Are they ready to win it? Do they believe in themselves?
Well, they certainly think they have a ball club that can do it. They're awfully strong at third, left field, right field, and first base. So the Expos, an outstanding ball club, and surprising everyone this year. Of course, they will be no surprise. I should say surprising everyone last year. There will be no surprise this year. They are a good ball club, and they certainly are a strong contending ball club. So right here on the opening day in Montreal, we'll be having the national anthems of both Canada and the United States.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare bombs bursting in air gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave. Canada, terre de nos aïeux, ton front est ceint de fleurs en glorieux, car ton bras sait porter l'épée, il sait porter la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
The national anthems of Canada and the United States before a huge crowd here for this opening day game. Well, the lineups for the ball game for the New York Mets, it'll be Lenny Dykstra leading off. He'll be in center field. Tim Tuffle, in spite of the fact that a right-hand pitcher is going, he has won the regular job at second base, batting second and playing second. Keith Hernandez batting third, playing first base. Batting fourth in right field, Darryl Strawberry, who hit over 400 this spring. Batting fifth and playing left field, Kevin McReynolds. Batting sixth, the catcher, Gary Carter. Batting seventh and playing third base, Howard Johnson. Batting eighth, the shortstop, Keven Elster. And Dwight Gooden, the pitcher, batting ninth.
And defensively, for Okay, the Montreal EXPOS batting order. Rock Raines leading off, to be followed by Mitch Webster and Hubie Brooks. Middle three, Tim Wallach, Andres Galarraga, and Tom Foley. In the bottom three, Jeff Reed, Luis Rivera, and Dennis Martinez.
There you see Keith Hernandez trying to loosen up. One of the big benefits of playing inside, the temperature here has been warmed up, and it's 72 degrees, much better than you would ever expect anywhere else. And here's Rusty Staub, the first real hero that they ever had here in Montreal as a baseball player, and Rusty will be throwing out the first ball. There was a player that preceded him that was well-liked and certainly one of the early heroes, Mac Jones. And then Rusty Staub coming to the ball club and taking over the Grand Orleans, and he has been honored by throwing out the first ball.
And Rusty's been popular wherever he's played. Montreal, New York, Detroit. A nice guy. Does a nice job at the restaurant on 3rd Avenue. I understand he's opening up another one at 5th Avenue.
I think he's signing the papers tomorrow, and that will be another Rusty's restaurant in New York City. Rusty, of course, a great hitter for the Montreal EXPOS. Started his career with Houston, and then went to the Mets, and then went to Detroit, played in Texas, then came back to the Mets to close out a fabulous career. Over 100 pinch hits.
Well, he was a fine player, and of course, probably a future Hall of Famer. As you look at another potential Hall of Famer, Rock Raines, he's running backwards. He thinks this game's easy. And
he can run backwards faster than you can run forwards.
Easy,
I can say
easy. How about that guy right there?
And Doc Gooden, and he wants to be called Doc and not Dwight Gooden. It was in the notes as an official announcement, and also a name change. Tim Raines wants to be called Rock Raines.
I'm glad these guys aren't changing their last name. As you look at some of the young Mets, Tim Tuffle, Keven Elster, and Howard Johnson. And we're going to, before the ball game, I talked to Harry Windelstad about some changes, Ralph, and there are two changes taking place in baseball, and Harry Windelstad told me they will be enforcing both. One is the strike zone. That's changed, and also the balk rule. And here's what Harry had to say.
The new strike zone will run from the breast line to the top of the knees. Basically, this is just a small drop from the armpit. The whole idea is they want the pitch more in this area called consistently, so we're going to do our best to adjust to that. Basically, that's really the only change in the strike zone.
Harry, what about the balk move that everybody was enforcing in spring training? Will they enforce it as much, and can you explain it to us?
Well, basically, it was felt throughout baseball that the pitchers were getting away with it too much, and they were not stopping before going to the plate. We certainly will be enforcing it. We're going to do just what our league president has instructed us to do. We did it during spring training. We're going to continue doing it.
Can you demonstrate the part of the balk move which incorporates the foot into it?
Basically, the problem was pitchers were coming down, and as their hands were getting toward an area where they would normally set, the leg would start into motion, and they would go to the plate. Now we're making them come down, be at a set position with both hands and stopped in front of their body someplace with both feet on the ground. That's basically how it'll be ruled.
Well, Harry Windelstad, who has an umpiring school that he is in charge of and owns, and he'll be joined by Dutch Rennert, who will be at first base. Randy Marsh will be the umpire at second, and Dana DeMuth will be the umpire at third. You know, the interesting thing about that strike zone, Fran, is the rule book says the strike zone goes from underneath the arms, the armpits, to the knees. But because it was too high, the umpires sort of arbitrarily set up their own strike zone that was lower than the letters. And they have now technically lowered the strike zone from under the armpits to the chest or breast, as he says, or letters. And by doing that, they'll raise what they have been calling ball a strike. So because they've actually lowered the strike zone officially, the umpires are raising the strike zone as far as they're concerned.
And I think the umpires will, in a month or so, go back to the old way of having their own strike zone.
They really do anyway. Every umpire has his own strike zone. They'll deny it as you look at Bob Ojeda. Bob will be, of course, one of the starting pitchers of the Mets. Bob, along with Ron Darling. Ron Darling scheduled to pitch in Wednesday's ball game. And he'll be opposed by Pascual Perez.
And you're looking at probably the most popular guy in Montreal, the manager, Buck Rodgers. Of course, Buck doing an outstanding job up here, orchestrating 2 fine seasons back-to-back, and I think the experts are still saying, show me again, as Buck is out talking to the umpires. Buck Rodgers, a catcher with the California Angels, has the record for rookie catchers in the American League. You got that name Buck from Bill Rigney. Must be a friend of yours, a golfing buddy.
Bill Rigney, I know very well. Bill with his second hip operation, putting in a plastic hip in each side now, and just about ready to get back to playing golf. Of course, a fine infielder for the New York Giants when the Giants played in New York. And then, of course, they moved to San Francisco, and Rigney also a manager in the major leagues.
And, of course, Darryl Strawberry sitting next to Gary Carter. I was talking to Gary in the clubhouse this morning. Told me he thinks he tries too hard up here against his old ball club.
Well, he had a tough time against them last year, hitting only 169 against the Montreal EXPOS with 1 home run. But he's in great shape this spring and no injuries, so this might be a fine year for Gary. Of course, Carter came to the Mets from Montreal, and he was, like Rusty Staub, a great hero. But now he is no longer a hero. He gets booed heavily.
Boy, they really,
when he shows up.
They really do. Boom. I talked to him before the game. You heard about Keven Elster and the butterflies. Here's what the old veteran Gary Carter had to say about butterflies.
There's no question about it. No matter how many years you played this game, you're going to bound to get some butterflies because it's the opener, and you just get your adrenaline pumping and knowing that it's all for the money. You know, I mean, that's really what it boils down to. I mean, you're going for all the marbles, and it begins right now.
Well, Gary Carter, who will be the starting catcher for the Mets, and the Expos have taken the field. Their defense will be Galarraga at first, Foley at second, Rivera playing shortstop, Wallach at third, Raines, Webster, and Brooks in the outfield left to right, and Jeff Reed will be the catcher. Dennis Martinez, the pitcher for Montreal, last year had a record of 11-4, an earned run average of 3.30. He was in 22 games as a starting pitcher, pitched 2 complete games. One of them was shutout, and that shutout was pitched against the New York Mets. He was 4-0 last year against the Mets, and he pitched a 3-hit shutout against the Mets. It was his second start. He had started the season in the minor leagues. An outstanding pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles. A lifetime record of 122 games, 103 losses.
He has a different role here in Montreal than he fulfilled with the Baltimore Orioles. With the Orioles, they had a lot of pitching talent, and he was the 3rd, 4th starter for the Orioles. We're up here in Montreal. Burden is on his shoulders because he has won some key ball games, and of course, as Ralph mentioned, last year 4-0 against the Mets. But of course, last year has nothing to do with this year. So we'll see what happens. By the way, we have a score from Cincinnati. It's all tied at 1 apiece. The Cardinals and the Reds. I guess it's official, Ralph. The season's underway when we start giving scores out.
That's right. And, of course, Cincinnati, the perennial opening day start. And they have Mario Soto going on the mound for them, trying to make a comeback after being a great pitcher.
Well, they picked up Danny Jackson from the Kansas City Royals. Royals have been donating some pitching talent. They tell Willie Wilson, I saw him in spring training, told me Danny Jackson, potential 20-game winner, and he loved David Cone. He thought Cone was going to be a great pitcher.
So it's Lenny Dykstra stepping into the batter's box for the first pitch of this 1988 season. Dykstra last year hitting .285, 10 home runs, 43 runs batted in, had 27 stolen bases. And in spring training, he batted .390, led the club in stolen bases in the spring with 7. And Lenny will see the first pitch of the game. Fastball for ball 1. Dykstra hit .224 against the Expos last year with 1 home run, 9 runs batted in. So we're underway here at the Big O. Pitch back for a ball, 2 balls, no strikes again, the fastball.
Lenny Dykstra was walking through the clubhouse today. Ralph and I were standing there, and Ralph Kiner jumped all over him about those muscles.
He put on quite a bit of strength and weight.
He said he hit the softest line drives for a muscle-bound guy.
Well, it's fun to talk to Lenny. He really responds to you. And I was kidding him about the fact that here's a guy that put on 15 pounds, got stronger, and now he's hitting the ball softer. And he said, I'm trying to do that. And, of course, Davey Johnson very happy about that. He didn't like the fact that Dykstra was trying to pull the ball for home runs. He had 10 last year. He wants him on base.
I think Lenny disagrees with Davey, though. He said he's swinging a bat like a tennis player.
He gets on base, 4 straight out of the strike zone, and the Mets have their first base runner of the 1988 season.
Well, Davey Johnson talked to me before the game, told me that he doesn't have a running ball club. Let's see if he puts Lenny Dykstra in motion. He doesn't think the balk rule is really going to affect his club because he feels they're not a running club. Yet Dykstra's a guy who can steal you 50 bases.
Had 27 last year. And that brings up Tim Tuffle. Tuffle, a fine year last year, hitting .308 with 14 home runs, 61 RBIs. And he had a good spring training, hitting .275. Dykstra draws a throw at first.
You wonder how it will affect Tuffle playing every day against right-handed and left-handed pitching and batting in the second slot. Because a lot of times you end up hitting behind the runner batting in the second slot.
Hit well against the Expos last year. Another soft toss to first. He batted .409 against the Expos with 1 home run and 5 runs batted in.
He was 4 for 12 against Martinez. You think it has an effect on a hitter what he did in the past against the pitcher?
I think to some degree, if it lasts more than a year, and certain pitchers do have a way of getting certain hitters out. And I guess every ball player's always had a hitter that he didn't hit well, had a pitcher he didn't hit well.
And nobody can figure out why.
That's just one of those things. There are a few you have that you can hit very well.
Not me. You might have. You had a lot of guys you hit pretty well.
Dykstra, a fairly good-sized lead, 1 foot on the AstroTurf, and he almost gets picked off. He got it. Dykstra called out at first base by Dutch Reddard as he is picked off.
Well, let's take a look at the move. You got to step towards first base. Martinez with an outstanding move. And here's Dykstra, big lead. And Dykstra trying to get back. There's the throw, perfect throw. Boy, Martinez with a good, quick move to first base. Now, another angle, and he was leaning towards second. He's picked off easily.
Well, he gave him 2 soft tosses over there and then gave him his good move and did the job. So Dykstra back to the bench, 1 away. Breaking ball, and we count ball 1. Martinez throwing 3 tosses over to first before throwing 1 to Tuffle at the plate, which accounts for one of the reasons why ball games have gone to about 3 hours in length. Hard line drive to left. So Tuffle gets the fastball, and the Mets have the first hit of the game.
And of course, as a second hitter, you become a different hitter with nobody on base. With that man on base, your concentration split between the runner on base and hitting a ball. Right here, nobody on base. Tuffle's more aggressive with the bat, taking that outside pitch and ripping the ball into left field.
So the Mets again have a base runner, this time with 1 out, and the batter will be Keith Hernandez. Keith, a good spring, hitting .328 this spring with no home runs and 10 runs batted in. Last year he batted .290. Had a career high of 18 home runs, but he also struck out 100 times for the first time in his major league career. Keith drove in 89 runs last season. And this time Tuffle gets back. So Dennis Martinez working on the base runners. He gave him that soft move there. That's not his good one. Tuffle doesn't figure to be running unless it's a hit and run play. He had only 3 stolen bases last year. And Keith takes a called strike. Hernandez batted .250 against the Expos last season with 1 home run and 11 runs batted in. Lifetime .300 average with the New York Mets. And he takes the fastball, 1 ball, 1 strike. Martinez will throw a lot of good breaking balls. He has a good curve.
Good curve, good slider, good fastball.
Had a good spring, had a record of 3-1, an earned run average of 2.84.
I think the big question mark here is, can they get the same production out of Pascual Perez?
And the fastball high, 2 balls, 1 strike. Perez also started the season last year in the minor leagues. He'll be the pitcher on Wednesday, and of course his career is a rather strange one. Had to go through drug rehabilitation. He was with the Atlanta Braves and then went down to the minors and worked his way back up.
You ever think 15 years ago we'd be talking about drug and alcohol rehabilitation?
Hard to really put it in perspective.
You just saw Martinez flip the ball easily to first base. Best time really to go to first base, if you bring those hands up above your head, is as soon as the ball hits the glove, spin and go to first. You'll be much quicker up there because the ball is ear level and you'll throw like a catcher. Right there.
And he almost does it the way you said, Franz. He goes over with a good move right there. 2 balls, 1 strike, a good hit and run count.
Boy, the key to that pickoff move is get that ball right up above the ear like a catcher. Perfect move. You have to have the quick feet, but getting the ball up to the ear, just like a catcher, allows you to be a lot quicker going to first base.
And Keith bounces it up the middle. Should be a double play. Fielded by Foley. The throw to first retires the side. 1 hit, no one left in the score at the end of 1/2 inning. The Mets nothing, Montreal coming up.
Well, here's the Met defense. At first base, Hernandez, Tupple at second base, and of course the rookie Keven Elster out there at shortstop, Howard Johnson at third base. From left to right in the outfield, Kevin McReynolds, Lenny Dykstra, and Darryl Strawberry. On the mound, Dwight Gooden. Behind the plate, Jare Park.
And Gooden with a record of 15-7 last year. Had an earned run average of 3.21, was in 25 ball games. All as a starting pitcher, had 7 complete games, one of them a shutout. He worked 172 thirds innings, gave up 168 base hits. And Gooden with an all-time record, the best in the history of baseball, percentage-wise, 73 wins, only 26 losses, a winning percentage of .737. And second to him is a fellow named Spud Chandler, who pitched for the Yankees with a record of .717 with 109 wins, 43 losses. So Gooden, unbelievable start in a major league career.
And he is obviously a real good fastball, real good curveball. And when you catch a guy like Dwight Gooden, and Gary Carter says this is what happens. You don't call for pitch to location with Dwight Gooden. You call for his fastball, you call for his curveball. If he throws strikes and has his good stuff, he's going to win. You can't take a guy like Gooden and say, okay, I want you to be pinpoint with your control. Forget it. You'll be taking away his velocity and his good curveball.
Gooden did not have a good spring. He did win 2 and lost 1, but he had an earned run average of 5.28. He was in 6 games, worked 27 innings, gave up 35 hits, walked 8 and struck out 20. And his first batter will be Rock Raines, who had an unbelievable spring. Hit .446 this spring with 29 base hits and 65 at-bats. Last year he hit .330 with 18 home runs, 68 runs batted in, and 50 stolen bases.
Has that great speed. Of course, when he was growing up, he said he wanted to be a football player. He made the right decision.
Tim Raines, or now he says Rock Raines, and he is from Little Rock. And he takes the first pitch, a fastball by Gooden for ball 1. Raines hit .330 last year. Ground ball to the second baseman, Tupple. And the throw, not a good one, but it's in time for the out. So Gooden picks up his first out.
Sometimes you pick up a ball on that artificial surface that has that top spin on it, and you're trying to stop the spin and throw the ball at the same time. Consequently, you won't make a good throw.
They had an article this morning about the fact that there are seams out here that are coming apart, so this park is coming apart at the seams. Now the batter will be Mitch Webster, and Webster fouls off the first pitch. He hit .145 this spring. Last year he hit .281 for the year with 15 home runs, 63 RBIs, had 33 stolen bases. But he had a very poor spring.
Couldn't play ball in the United States. He was drafted by the Dodgers and didn't do well enough to get out of A-ball.
And Toronto got him, and he didn't make that ball club. They sent him down to the minors, and Montreal picked him up out of the minor leagues.
Yeah, he did a little bit better in the minor leagues with Toronto than he did with the Dodgers. Then the Montreal EXPOS got him, and he's in the lineup because of an injury.
ball hit hard to right, way back, going, and it is off the wall. Webster on his way to third. The ball bobbled in the outfield by Tim Tuffle, and Webster goes into third with a triple. So Webster, showing more power than ever last year, certainly starts off this year with a drive.
Oh, here's that pitch again. The curveball staying up belt high, and Webster belted the ball. And Darryl Strawberry, good effort, was unable to make the play. And Webster can run. He, of course, makes it easy to third base with this triple. And last year, Webster had 8 triples.
So a runner at third with one man out, and the batter will be Hubie Brooks.
Year before, he led the league with 13 triples.
Hubie hitting .323 this spring with 1 home run, 12 runs batted in. And he takes strike one. Hubie hit .263 last year with 14 home runs, 72 runs batted in. Three years ago, Hubie Brooks had over 100 RBIs while playing shortstop. And this ball line to center, base hit, and Montreal takes the lead 1-0.
How about the way Hubie Brooks hits Dwight Gooden? He looks so comfortable at the plate against his ex-teammate. And right there, goes down, gets the fastball, hits a rope in the center field. And, of course, Webster scores easily. But Hubie Brooks continues to hammer Dwight Gooden.
So a run in, a runner on first, and Tim Wallach the batter. Wallach set a club record for runs batted in last year when he had 123. Wallach hit .298 last season with 26 home runs, breaking a club record for RBIs that once was held by Andre Dawson. This ball is hit hard to center. Dykstra in, now back, and he makes a great catch after misjudging the ball. Brooks back to first base, and a hard out.
Here's a Major League center fielder making a Major League catch. Good play by Lenny Dykstra. So Lenny Dykstra making a fine play. Ball hit by Tim Wallach. Wallach drilled that ball very well. Well, opening day, everybody with butterflies, and I guess even it quickens up your bat. If these guys look like they're hitting the ball off the tee.
Last three batters have hit it extremely hard after a soft out by Rock Range. And now the batter will be Andres Galarraga. Galarraga hit .295 this spring with a club-leading 5 home runs. He drove in 12. And he has some power. Fastball, did he get him? It did. So good in time with a fastball next Galarraga, and he gets first base.
Well, it's a good pitch. Even if it doesn't hit Galarraga, you have to be a little bit wild. Gooden with that very good control, and hitters just get in there, and they're comfortable against Gooden. Here the ball gets up and in. Galarraga dives into the ball, and the ball was running into him, and consequently get hit. But a good pitch by Gooden, even if it doesn't hit him.
Galarraga is certainly making a poor effort of getting out of the way, but that might not be a fault. It was just one of those things. He was looking like he was moving into the pitch looking for a breaking ball. He had a great year last year.
And you're going to hit pitchers if you're comfortable against pitchers. When Gooden has the stuff he has, it pays, I guess, to be a little bit wild inside.
So runners now at first and second, and Tom Foley the batter. Foley hit .333 this spring, playing at second base. Batted .293 last year with 6 home runs and 28 runs batted in. Montreal leading 1-0, runners at first and second, 2 men away. And we're in the bottom half of the first.
Tim Tuffle saying a few words to Gary Carter, probably about the signs, and Gary Carter going out to talk to Gooden just to calm him down a little bit. Well, they say you have to get your good pitchers early. It's early, and the Expos have 1 run.
Both sides coming out with base runners in the first. The Expos cashing one of theirs, and the fastball a called strike. utility ball player that plays shortstop, second, can play third, and the outfield. And the curveball in the dirt, good block by Carter, and the runner's hold. Brooks at second.
I don't think there's anybody in baseball who blocks the ball any better than that guy right there, Gary Carter. Here's the curveball in the dirt, and Carter going down and getting the body in front of it. The ball hits off the glove, and he keeps the ball in front of him. Very good receiver. I think underrated as a receiver, as a defensive player.
He's got a chance to be the catcher. Caught more games in major leagues than anyone. That distinction belongs to Bob Boone right now. And a fastball foul back out of play.
It's amazing how Boone's career turned around once he got out in Anaheim.
He's about all through with the Philadelphia Phillies and then went out to the Angels, and he's just been having a lot of fun out there.
As you mentioned, he's got the most game scores. Gary Carter with a shot at breaking that record. And Boone, Gene Mauch said the smartest catcher he's ever had. And coming from Gene Mauch, who recently retired, that's quite an accomplishment because Gene doesn't dish him out too easily.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Another one that almost hits Foley. That draws some boos here from this huge crowd.
Oh, that fastball inside on Foley. Wow, way inside. How do you get out of the way? That's the toughest pitch to get away from.
Well, you can pick up 1 foot. It's hard to pick up both.
That's right. He's had it up. He's quit.
He's had it up.
Now, this is tough. Whoa. Of course, Foley fighting with Casey Candell for that second base position. Going back to get a new bat. Now, I'd like to know why he went back to get the new bat. I mean, could you break your bat by having the bat hit the ground?
Count goes to 2-2.
If he didn't break his bat when the bat hit the ground, why didn't he have that bat in the first place?
He's got his bat that he uses with a count 2 balls and 2 strikes. There have been hitters that change bats when they get to 2 strikes. Good curveball, and Gooden gets his first strikeout. That ends the inning. Montreal 1 run on 2 hits, and 2 were left. The score at the end of 1, Montreal 1, the New York Mets nothing. Montreal leading 1-0, and the run batted in by Hubie Brooks and a hard single to center. We asked Hubie earlier why he hits Dwight Gooden so well.
I think the reason why is because I refuse to let my guard down against him, because even with the mediocre pitchers, the good pitchers, if you let your guard down, you take it for granted that they're going to pass you by, they're going to make you look real bad, and I don't want to look bad against him. He makes enough guys look bad, and I just try to give myself a fair chance.
You hope to finish?
Well, a fair chance is more than that. He's put Montreal on the scoreboard as you look at Dwight Gooden and Gary Carter. Montreal 1 run on 2 hits. The Mets have no runs, and they also have 1 hit. Darryl Strawberry will lead it off. Darryl batted .415 this spring, and Dennis Martinez starts him off with a fastball. Strawberry hit .284 last year with 39 home runs, 104 RBIs with 36 stolen bases. Strawberry against the Expos last year hit .318 with 7 home runs and 16 runs batted in. Martinez misses with a fastball, 1 ball, 1 strike. Darryl, a member of the 30-30 club, 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases in a regular season. The president of that club, Bobby Bonds. Did it more times than anybody, and you were with him.
Yeah, he did it 5 times.
On deck batter Kevin McReynolds as the Mets trail 1-0, top of the 2nd inning.
Who was it? Bobby Bonds was the batting instructor with the Cleveland Indians last year. Roger Clemens struck out Corey Snyder about 8 straight times.
This ball hit deep to center field, way back.
Whoa.
It's gone. Goodbye. Tie ball game at 1 as Strawberry gets his first home run of the year.
Probably looking, if he stays healthy, that's a player in the National League here in 1988. Darryl Strawberry. You can hurt your back doing that, Darryl. You're too tall to be going down with the low 5. Sammy Perlazzo, the third base coach, he's down there for the low 5. Darryl's going to pop those muscles in his lower back.
That is the third year that Darryl Strawberry has had a home run in his first game of the season.
This has to be the longest one, though. Dennis Martinez throwing that curveball. Darryl going down and just smoking that ball. Look at Mitch Webster. He knows it's gone.
Every one of the home runs that Darryl Strawberry has hit in his first game of the season have been in his first at bat. And here he has done it for the third time. What a way to start a season.
He's really got it together this year. He said he feels good, and he says his head's on straight. I've never seen anybody have a crooked head.
Now the batter will be Kevin McReynolds, and Kevin, with a 1-strike count, looks for ball 1, 1 ball, 1 strike.
How about Davey Johnson's statement about Kevin McReynolds in spring training, that he's his most complete player on the ball club?
I like the statement made by Bill Robinson about Kevin McReynolds. This ball hit on the line to center field, and Martinez has given up 2 hard hits here in the second. Bill Robinson said about McReynolds, you don't have to worry about his attitude. He doesn't have it.
Well, here's the quiet man. Here's the pitch, that curveball, and McReynolds going down, slapping the ball into center field. McReynolds quietly had a fine season last year for the Mets.
276 with 29 home runs and 95 runs batted in. So the Mets with a runner at first and no one out. Tie ball game at 1, and the batter will be Gary Carter. And the fastball for ball 1. Carter hit .235 last year with 20 home runs, 82 runs batted in.
You don't see many players grip the handle of the bat, or the knob of the bat, the way Carter does. Did you do that as a hitter?
No, I stayed just above the knob. Babe Ruth used to do that. Curled that little finger. This ball popped up and playable for Tim Wallach. So Carter is out. 1 away, the Mets tying it up on Strawberry's home run. Last year, Darryl Strawberry had a home run his first at bat, a 3-run homer off Bob Patterson of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Mets winning that game on the home run 3-2. He hit a home run off Mario Soto of the Reds back in 1984, his first at bat in Cincinnati. Now the batter will be Howard Johnson. Howard, a great year last year. 265 with 36 home runs, 99 runs batted in, 32 stolen bases, and a fastball strike. Johnson did not have a good spring. Batted .207, but he did lead the club in home runs with 4 and drove in a total of 7 runs.
I think it's in the back of his mind that people doubted his performance last year. Of course, it was blown out of proportion with the cork bats, or the accusing of him of using a cork bat.
This ball hit hard but fouled into the right field stand. So Howard Johnson out in front of it, and they count it strike 2.
Boy, he had some hard home runs last year.
Member of the 30-30 club along with Darryl Strawberry, the only time teammates ever did it in the same year.
Of course, you can almost believe the 30 home runs, but when you think of Howard Johnson, you don't think of him as a base stealer.
32 stolen bases last year.
Well, he has a quick bat.
And he misses the fastball, and Dennis Martinez gets his first strikeout.
Well, Martinez with that fastball running away off the plate. Of course, with 2 strikes, you have to chase it. And then the catcher, Jeff Reed, flipped the ball to first base. But McReynolds get back.
So 2 men away. McReynolds, a runner at first base. Tie ball game at 1 on Strawberry's home run. And the batter will be Keven Elster. Elster hit .246 this spring with 2 home runs, 8 runs batted in. Last year at Tidewater, he batted .310 with 8 home runs, 74 runs batted in. And the fastball a ball. Elster led the International League in hits last year with 170. That was a Tidewater record. No player in the Mets organization ever had that many base hits. And the runner going with a pitch, but the ball grounded foul.
Well, the Mets are hoping for about a 250 batting average from Elster with some run production. He's in a tough slot, though, batting in the 8th slot, although the Mets have some pretty good hitting pitchers. But, of course, another pitcher, an opposing pitcher, would rather face a pitcher with a bat in his hand than a shortstop like Elster. Talking about Bucky Dent, who was discussing Keven Elster with him. He told me he can hit that high fastball.
Elster starting the season at shortstop for the Mets. Santana going to the Yankees. Toss to first base. McReynolds has good enough speed to steal bases, but he probably will not be running here with 2 men away and the 8th place batter up. McReynolds with 14 stolen bases last year. And the fastball for ball 2. 2 balls, 1 strike. Elster was voted the top baseball prospect in the minor leagues last year in AAA ball.
Of course, the kid they sent to the minor leagues was the player of the year the past 2 years by Baseball America, named by Baseball America, Greg Jeffries. Did you get much of a chance to see him hit in spring training?
Certainly did, and he has got one of the great swings. Going to be an outstanding player. He's playing shortstop and third base down at Tidewater now.
The Mets seem to be loaded in the minor leagues. Went over there to do some interviews during spring training. All their pitchers are about 6'8". It's amazing how big they are.
2 balls, 1 strike. And this ball hit hard down the left field line, but it's just foul. So Elster just does miss picking up a base hit. He gets around on this one in a hurry.
And Keven Elster getting out there with the head of the bat. Doesn't have much movement with his hands backwards.
You don't like that?
Now, it seems that most of your good hitters will take those hands and go back with them. It depends on to what degree. You watch Hernandez, his hands really go back. Carter's go back. The real good hitters, their hands go back. We'll just see how Elster does. He smoked the ball in spring training.
One thing they can't do and be a hitter is to go forward. And there is a swing and a miss. So Martinez strikes out his last 2 batters, and that ends the inning. A home run by Strawberry, 2 hits, 1 left, and the score at the end of 1.5 innings, the Mets 1, Montreal 1. We're going to the bottom half of the second, a tie ball game. Strawberry with a home run, his first at bat for the 3rd time in his very short major league career. Tim McCarver points out that that's the first home run that the Mets have hit against Dennis Martinez. They did not have a home run against him last year. And Strawberry doing something rather unordinary. A home run, his first at bat for the 3rd time in the start of the season. There's no doubt about that one, Fran.
Ball's hammered.
So Darryl Strawberry off to a quick start. And that tied up the ball game. And now Montreal batting for the 2nd time against Doc Gooden. Luis Rivera will be the leadoff batter, and the first pitch a breaking ball for a strike. Rivera batted .312 at Indianapolis last year with 8 home runs, 52 RBIs, had 24 stolen bases. And this one up the middle, a base hit. So Montreal continuing to hit good and well. They had 1 run on 2 hits in the first. Now the leadoff batter here in the second. So Rivera, who has taken over the shortstop position, is on at first with no one out, and the batter will be Jeff Reed, the catcher. Reed hit .213 in 75 games last year for Montreal with 1 home run. Had 21 runs batted in. And the fastball is fouled back out of play. Rivera, the runner at first base. Reed has taken over the catching job from Mike Fitzgerald, the former Mets catcher. As Fitzgerald came up with a fractured wrist in spring training this year. And he's still having difficulty with the forefinger on his throwing hand that was fractured and really messed up in a game at Shea Stadium a couple of years ago. Fastball high, 1 ball, 1 strike. The spring hit .225 with 1 home run and 2 runs batted in. Throw to first.
We saw Martinez's move before with the hand going up by the ear. Dwight Gooden, his move is not as good. Of course, he's a power pitcher, and the hand comes out of the glove, down and back. And he has full range of motion. He also does it on his move to first base. Because of that, he has a slow move.
And a bouncing ball to the mound. A good play by Gooden to get the lead runner as he quickly gets the throw off to Keven Elster, the shortstop, covering at second. Good play by Gooden.
He's a fine athlete. Gooden getting over, getting the ball, and without even taking a crop. You had to make a quick throw to second base. And ordinarily, the pitcher takes a crow hop, sets himself, and allows the infielder to get to second base. Right there, Gooden took it, and with a quick soft toss, beat the runner.
So 1 away, a runner still at first, and the batter will be Dennis Martinez. The Mets are looking for the sacrifice. Tie ball game at 1. 2 men away, bottom half of the second inning. And the ball bunted to Keith Hernandez, who makes the tag right there. And the sacrifice moves Reed down to second. That'll bring up Tim Raines. Raines grounded out to the second baseman his first time up.
Would you hit Raines in the 3rd or 4th slot, or would you keep him in the 1st slot?
I think I'd have to keep him in the 1st slot. He's one of the great base stealers of all time. And with Hubie Brooks batting 3rd, Wallach 4th, and Galarraga 5th, they have some pretty strong hitting right there in the strong positions. He, of course, has batted 3rd a lot.
He hasn't been as productive in the 3rd slot either.
Had 50 stolen bases last year, and he does get on base rather frequently.
And I think it's a big difference between scoring runs and driving runs in. Different mentality when you're at the plate.
And a different approach to hitting when you're hitting with men on base or hitting with no one on.
A lot more pressure.
A lot more difficult.
And when you got the guy in the 3rd slot and 4th slot, you demand that they drive in runs. If they don't, they're out of there. I think the more prestigious spot in baseball is the 3rd and the 4th slot.
That's what most people think.
You don't think so, huh?
No, I agree with that. No doubt about it. And a swing and a miss.
All your most productive and feared hitters bat 3rd and 4th. Where did you bat?
I batted 4th.
And you would have been upset if they moved you, right?
That is true. Satchel Paige put it best. In the days when they used to number players with their positions, like Babe Ruth was a 3rd place hitter and wore number 3. Lou Gehrig, 4th place hitter, wore number 4. Satchel Paige said, I always watch out for those guys with the single numbers. He didn't know who they were, but he knew they could hit when those 3, 4, and 5 batters came up.
Now you get guys in major leagues. Carlton Fisk wearing number 72.
That was his best year.
Well, he also took 72 because when he was with the Red Sox, he wore number 27. Talking about Carlton Fisk, and as you look at Jeff Reed, a catcher on second base, and of course Gary Carter with the Mets. Fisk and Carter, probably future Hall of Famers as catchers, having tremendous careers. Although the Hall of Fame is tougher to get into now. They're not voting for him anymore.
And Raines takes that pitch for ball 3, so they count 3-1.
Here's the fastball from Gooden to the rock. That's tough to take right there. Ball ran back in, might have hit the corner of the plate. Of course, when you hit 330, you get that pitch called a ball.
3 balls, 1 strike. And that's ball 4. So Raines walks. Raines joining Reed on the bases. That'll bring up Mitch Webster, who tripled his first time up.
Now we were talking about first slot. Mitch Webster, a second slot hitter, finds himself in a position where he has to drive in a run. I guess the most difficult time to drive in a run is with 2 outs and a runner at second base.
Webster drove in 63 last year while hitting .281.
He doesn't overswing. He just tries to place the head of the bat on the ball.
And the curveball in the dirt. Hart's breaking ball. Good job by Carter to block it.
And the blocking of the ball is one thing, but another part of blocking the ball, it gives the pitcher confidence in breaking that ball off, throwing the good curveball, and Gary Carter getting down and keeping the ball in front of him once again. So Dwight Gooden has to feel comfortable throwing that curveball to Gary Carter because most of the time he keeps the ball in front of him.
1 ball, no strikes. Expos with runners at first and second, 2 men out, bottom half of the second. 1-1 game. Ground ball to third. Johnson gets it. Throws to second to Tuffle covering there for the force play that ends the inning. No runs, 1 hit, and a walk with 2 men left on base. The score at the end of 2. The Mets won. The Expos won.
Well, Sports Channel would like to congratulate Ralph Kiner's favorite hockey team, the New York Islanders, on winning the Patrick Division title. Congratulations also to one of Ralph's favorite teams, the New Jersey Devils, on gaining their first ever Stanley Cup playoff berth. We also like to remind everyone that tickets for this exciting first round of NHL playoff matchup between the Islanders and the Devils are still available in limited quantities. Tickets for Islanders home playoff games are available at the Nassau Coliseum box office and at the Meadowlands box office for Devils home games.
And as we get back to the live action, Dwight Gooden takes a fastball for ball 1. Gooden batting for the first time in a 1-1 ball game. Doc had 14 hits last season. And he fouls off a fastball. Gooden coming off the mound after picking up his last out in the last half inning. A little conference going on.
Gary Carter talking to Doc along with Davey and Mel Stottlemyre. Mel, of course, doing a fine job as a pitching coach with the Mets.
Ground ball at Wallach, the third baseman. Gooden is out.
Gooden, of course, swinging that bat like an everyday player. I guess some of the great hitting pitchers, Don Newcomb, you played against Newcomb.
Don Newcomb was one, of course. Wes Farrell, the all-time home run hitter for pitchers, had 9 in 1 year.
He had 38 career-wise. There was a guy who had 288 over 17 years, George Ewell, U-H-L-E. Ewley. He has the highest batting average of any pitcher over a long period of time. It's not too bad, 288 over 17 years.
Well, Red Rupping, a great hitting pitcher. Bob Lemon, another one.
Yeah.
Warren Spahn was good. As you look at Lenny Dykstra, Dykstra now has seen 5 pitches all out of the strike zone, walking on 4 his first time up.
Lenny Dykstra, we were talking about hockey a moment ago, the Islanders and the Devils. Lenny Dykstra, a big hockey fan. His father, I believe, was a professional hockey player.
In the family, an uncle, I believe, involved. There's a drive foul.
In fact, Lenny told me they thought that that would be his sport, hockey, but of course in California it's tough to find some ponds with ice on them.
You got to manufacture.
That's right. He manufactured some muscles, didn't he?
I'll tell you one thing, I'm putting him on the list of people I will never ride with again. You are heading that list. Dykstra would be second because his wife said he does everything in his life like he does on the field.
Uh-oh.
One ball, 2 strikes. 1-1 ball game. Dykstra leading off in the third, and this ball on the ground to the second baseman. And off Foley's glove, as that ball seemed to take a bad hop. And as we mentioned, it seemed to take a bad hop because the seams here are not very good.
Places fall apart at the seams. I like that line. Well, talked about the artificial surface before. The ball doesn't really have that true spin when it heads to an infielder. It can be spinning all kinds of different ways. Right there, as Ralph mentioned, they've been having trouble with the seams here on the artificial surface, and the ball really handcuffed Foley. You know, they might have some of that top spin on the ball. First off, when you catch it, you have to stop the spin before you throw the ball.
So a runner on with one man out, and Tuffle the batter. And Tuffle fouls it back out of play. Tuffle with a single his first time up.
And once again, Tuffle batting with that runner on first base and one man out. We saw him get the base hit to left field, and of course, the mental approach is different. Although I guess now, more so than ever before, as a second hitter with a runner on base, you're told to put the ball in play with authority rather than hitting the ball behind the runner. One time, the manager demanded that you hit the ball behind the runner, but that's tough to pull off.
Tuffle has done a great job with that bat. Dykstra, who was picked off his first time up, gets back safely on that pickoff attempt.
I'll tell you, Martinez's attempt at first base and his pickoff attempt borders on a block. I mean, he's stopping, but they tell you you have to step towards first base. He kind of has that spin move.
Not much of a stop there.
No, and they're more concerned with the stop than anything else now.
And Tuffle hits it out to left field. Tim Raines moving back to get in position. And after the catch, Dykstra back to first. Incidentally, the ball that Dykstra hit was scored in error. So an error charged against Montreal, the first error of the game. Now it'll be Keith Hernandez who grounded into a double play his first time up.
Now we were talking about hand movement back into the hitting zone from the stance, and here's the guy who puts his hands back. He turns that front shoulder. Everything goes back, and we were talking about Keven Elster before. If you take a look at these hands get back into a hitting position. If I was a kid and I wanted to emulate a hitter, he would be the guy.
He does have classic batting form, which is paid off. Former National League batting champion, former National League MVP.
Dykstra's not happy about the pickoff move from Martinez. Again, it borders on a block. He spins towards first base. You're really supposed to step. Great move, though. I think the pitcher should be allowed to cheat. Too many guys can steal.
Well, the balk, if it is enforced as they said it would be, will certainly slow the game down and will help the base runners. Again, a throw to first.
About 20 years ago, if a catcher didn't throw out over 50% of the would-be base stealers, he had a bad year. Now, if you throw out 35%, you're a good throwing catcher, probably the best in the game.
Tim Raines has a percentage of stolen bases that ranks at the highest of the list, 88%. They only throw him out 22% of the time. And a strike call.
Well, Hernandez, as you mentioned, Ralph, with that classic stroke, he has that short stride. He gets his hands back into the hitting position. Type of guy like that who eliminates an off-speed pitch because he's not fooled that often because of that short stride and the short stroke.
One of the things why you'd like to see a back pivot is that if they do change speeds, you just extend the pivot. Pitch out with nothing on it. Anytime the upper part of your body is rotating back or your knee is cocking, you're staying in hitting position.
How many times you see a hitter like Hernandez go out on the front foot, but yet his hands stay back in the hitting position, and he's still able to hit the ball with authority. If you carry the hands forward, as Ralph mentioned with Keven Elster hitting, then you have no power, and power spent.
Dykstra again back. 1-1 ball game. 2 men out. We're in the top of the third. Martinez from Nicaragua. First to ever get to the major leagues out of that country. Ground ball foul.
It's amazing. The guy who was instrumental in signing Dennis Martinez was the general manager of the New York Mets, Frank Cashin. It was recommended that they sign Martinez I believe by a scout or maybe just a baseball fan from Nicaragua, and Frank Cashin, as a member, as the general manager of the Orioles, signed him.
They had a great amateur baseball program in Nicaragua, and baseball became very much of the country's favorite sport because of the Marine station there during the war, and they played a lot of baseball.
And they must be playing a lot of baseball in that area now.
Hand grenades. One ball, 2 strikes.
Look at the catcher's target, almost off the plate. And I'll tell you, a guy like Hernandez, if a catcher moves that quickly, he's going to draw Hernandez's attention. And try to move while the pitcher's just about set. You don't want to move too soon because the hitter has a chance to look back and he'll guess position. And sometimes a guy like Hernandez, he can guess the pitch.
He's always looking to see if he can pick up where the location might be. And that fastball outside, 2-2.
Some pitchers like you to move your body. I guess the ideal way to give a target is with the glove. There's too many guys stealing location now. You're better off just putting the glove up there, but some pitchers like you to move your body. I caught Juan Marichal one year, and he wanted you to move your body right out on the corner of the plate. Of course, he could tell you what was coming, and you still wouldn't hit it.
Well, location can determine the fastball because you don't really need location on the curve. There goes Dykstra, the throw on down to second. It's not in time, and Dykstra has his first stolen base of the year after being picked off first base in the first inning.
Well, good pitch to run on right there, and Lenny Dykstra with a good jump off first base. And we talked about Martinez's move, so it's tough to get that jump. Here's the throw from Reed, a good throw. Rivera making the catch right on the money. He can't do anything else. And Dykstra with that head first slide. Very, very close at second base. Second base umpire Randy Marsh right on the play.
So Dykstra with 27 stolen bases last year has his first in his first game of this season. And Hernandez has one.
You know,
that'll bring up Darryl Strawberry.
It's become fashionable in baseball. Most of your base stealers go in head first. If I was a shortstop or second baseman, I'd try to get to know these guys that slide head first because there's no reason why you can't go down on one knee and keep them from getting to the bag. And if a guy's going to slide head first, his fingers aren't going to do any damage. His spikes will, but if the spikes are on his feet, you have no problem if he's going head first.
So Darryl Strawberry stepping in for the second time, homered his first time up. That tied up the game at 1, and that's the way it stands right now with 2 men out in the top of the third. Strawberry's home run, a deep drive over the center field fence. And as Tim McCarver pointed out, Strawberry now has hit a home run, his first at bat in the opening day game 3 consecutive times, 3 times in his very young career.
26 years old, came up with all kinds of pressure on him and has done the job. And he's been severely criticized.
No pitch is time. Oh, a balk is called. Now a balk is called, this time by Harry Wendelstedt.
And he says you didn't stop.
The runners move up on the balk call. Here comes Buck Rodgers out to ask why. Let's see.
Let's see if he stops. Martinez goes. That's where he usually stops, right there. No, he didn't stop. He didn't stop. Changed direction without stopping.
Now he's debating it with Harry Wendelstedt.
And Harry's in charge, believe me. You can't fool with Harry Wendelstedt. Plus he has that school. He teaches it. Now you're going to see Randy Marsh, second base umpire, do it also. He says he didn't stop. Well, it can change the complexion of a ball game. Runners now you have 2 runners in scoring position.
And you wonder if Strawberry will see many good pitches to hit as a right-hand batter is on deck and first base is open.
Not a bad right-handed hitter either on deck. There's Buck Rodgers.
And they're going to walk him. So Strawberry will be walked intentionally.
Well, one of the reasons the Mets wanted Kevin McReynolds is because he's a threat with the bat in his hand and they could bat him behind Darryl Strawberry. This is the reason why they picked up McReynolds.
And one of the reasons why Strawberry was moved into the cleanup position.
awful lot of talent right there with a bat in his hand.
Strawberry with 39 home runs last year. One so far this year in one official at bat as he has walked intentionally in his second appearance. So the base is loaded.
What's fascinating about watching the Mets is a guy like Strawberry, you really don't know what his potential is. Some people feel 40-40 club, some people feel 50-50 club.
Well, no one's ever had 40 home runs and 40 stolen bases in the history of the game.
Here it is again, the home run that Darryl Strawberry hit his first time up. Not a bad pitch. He goes out, extends those arms, and hits the ball a mile. Boy, he hits the ball as hard as anybody in baseball, even his singles.
So Kevin McReynolds, who did single his first time up, batting for the second time. And the fastball for a ball.
Talking about moving that body as a catcher, you saw Jeff Reed go inside with the target on McReynolds. The one good thing about moving your body to the corner of the plate, it's easier to make a ball look like a strike.
Spoken by a major league catcher who used to try and deceive the batters.
Never worked for me.
See a pitcher do that, and you often wonder, at least I do, that maybe he doesn't want to pitch.
Possibly. With the bases loaded. Jeff Reed went out and told him, you have to pitch. You've got to throw the ball to me. The Mets can throw some hitters at you. Following McReynolds will be Gary Carter.
Reynolds with 7 lifetime Grand Slam home runs. The active player with the most is Eddie Murray, who has 14. Pardon me, make that 1 Grand Slam home run. Bases are loaded. Dykstra, Hernandez, and Strawberry. Now ball 3, and so Martinez getting into a jam, walking Keith Hernandez, walking Strawberry intentionally, and now 3-0 to Kevin McReynolds with nowhere to put the batter. Let him hit away here, Frank?
Oh, yeah.
2 men away. And a strike call. Not a good pitch to swing at. McReynolds takes it. When you're hitting 3-0, you want it to be right in one spot, period, and if it isn't there, take it.
And if it's moving, watch out. That ball's moving in on McReynolds. I like the idea when, I mean, the pitcher has to throw a strike. You got a excellent major league hitter with a bat in his hand. I'd let him swing 3-0 in almost any situation.
This ball hit out toward the middle, knocked down by Foley. A good play there to save a run. As the Mets get a run, Dykstra scores from third on the base hit. Hernandez had to stop at third base as the ball was kept in the infield, and the Mets now leading by a score of 2-1.
Well, really a break for the Expos. This ball would have gone through. Ball is hit hard right off of Martinez's right leg. Foley knocking the ball down. If Foley fields the ball cleanly, they get Strawberry at second base. Right now, Buck Rodgers going out, or is that Larry Bernard going out to check out his pitcher? It's Larry Bernard, the ex-Met. St. John's graduate. In fact, St. John's University this year honored Frank Viola and John Franco. Nice tribute at the Downtown Athletic Club. Jack Kaiser, the athletic director, along with Joe Russo, the baseball coach, and Lou Carnesecca.
So the Mets taking the lead 2-1. Bases remain loaded, and the batter is Gary Carter. Carter fouled out to the catcher his first time up. And that pitch in there called strike. Carter with 11 Grand Slam home runs.
A few years ago, Carter hit one against the Mets opening day. As a member of the Montreal EXPOS.
Carter leads the National League among the active players in Grand Slam home runs. Good pitch. That's strike 2.
he had him way out in front with this changeup. Martinez featuring a good changeup. George Bamberger, teaching the Baltimore Oriole pitchers many years ago, that three-fingered changeup. You get the ball back in your hand. You have the same arm speed, but you don't have a loose wrist. And Martinez has a good changeup.
And the count now, 1 ball and 2 strikes. One and 2. Bases loaded. The Mets leading 2-1. 2 men out, top of the third. Strike 3 call. Borderline pitch. Carter thought it was low. Wendelstedt said strike 3. So the Mets get 1 run on 1 hit. There was 1 error and 3 men left to score at the end of 2.5 innings. The Mets 2, Montreal 1.
Say it's low.
It is very low.
You know, at the bases loaded, that breaks your heart when you're an RBI man. And Gary just taking it, figured, oh, he's not even going to argue it. Harry Wendelstedt, down deep in his heart, knows he blew it.
No, the umpires always say, I never miss one. Never missed one.
Dennis Martinez in the Montreal EXPOS dugout. We mentioned 4-0 against the Mets last year. Pitched very well. And there's Harry Wendelstedt. Owns that umpiring school.
And for Montreal, trailing by a score of 2-1, the leadoff batter will be Hubie Brooks, who drove in Montreal's run back in the first inning. And Dwight Gooden picks up a strike. Hubie singled up the middle off a fastball to drive in Mitch Webster, who had tripled in the first. And a little punched-out pop-up into shallow right center. Tupple goes back and makes the catch on the broken bat. Fly ball.
Better off pitching to Hubie with nobody on base.
He's tough with men on.
Boy, he gets up there and his attitude changes with men on base.
And that'll bring up a man who drove in a lot of men on base last year, setting the Montreal record, driving in 123. Tim Wallach. Wallach lined out the center his first time up, a good catching the ball by Len Dykstra. He takes a strike.
This is a nice place to play baseball, but the shame of it is in the United States, they kind of forget you when you're playing up here in Montreal. And this guy here is a bona fide star in the major leagues.
No doubt about it. Wallach hitting .298 last year with 26 home runs. Led the league in 2 base hits with 42.
And that's one of the reasons why it's so nice to play here.
Raining outside.
I don't think major league players deep down their heart want to play in Canada. They'd rather play their career in the United States. Imagine Gary Carter having a career in New York that he had up here in Montreal.
Well, that is different. Of course, New York, the media city in the world, and that ball hit out to right, so Wallach has a base hit.
What if Ralph Kiner played his career in New York rather than Forbes Field?
Yeah, there are a lot of places that you don't get a whole lot of publicity. Houston would be one.
And Wallach in and outing that bat. Good hitting by Wallach. To put that ball in play, and he picks up the base hit. And I mentioned Wallach. If this kid played in New York, then you're writing sonnets about him. Imagine winning all the home run titles you've won and playing at the Polo Grounds in New York. Do I make you envious of those players?
You're going to ruin my day. That brings up Andres Galarraga. Galarraga hit by a pitch ball his first time up. Hit .305 last year with 13 home runs, 90 runs batted in. He takes a fastball.
Woody Herzog said that this guy is the best fielding first baseman right-handed since Gil Hodges. Vic Power wasn't too bad either.
Vic Power might have been the greatest right-handed fielding first baseman ever, although a fellow named Babe Dahlgren, who replaced Lou Gehrig, was an outstanding defensive fielding first baseman back in those days with the Yankees.
You know, Harmon Killebrew told me Kent Herbeck can pick it with anybody at first base.
What's wrong with Mattingly?
Well, he's left-handed. We're talking about right-handed.
Okay.
And Mattingly's an outstanding player.
Eddie Murray doesn't do too badly.
Very well.
Ball line foul into the stands down the right field side.
It's funny, as big and as strong as this guy is, he's about 6'1", 230 pounds. He's injury prone. He was out last year a few times, the year before. And ordinarily a first baseman really doesn't get hurt that often. There's a guy who's been durable and last year won his 10th Gold Glove. Keith Hernandez.
1 ball, 2 strikes. This one popped up again in foul territory. Keith over, does he have room? And he makes a good play in front of the camera section there. That play was not an easy one. The ball not hit very high and had to worry about all those cameras.
Hit it right in the nose, Ralph. Watch Keith. He even reacts to the cameras as he gets close. Shading his head, getting his head out of the way. He felt he was going to run into one of the lenses.
Take that wide angle lens off now.
That's right. And there's Keith talking to Bobby Winkles, first base coach at the Expos. In fact, Bobby Winkles, coach at Arizona. In fact, I believe the first college coach to come out at a collegiate level and manage in the major leagues, Bobby Winkles.
A few of them went from Major League Ball to college coaching.
They were forced.
That brings up Tom Foley. Foley was struck out his first time up. Gooden's only strikeout in this game. He got him with a curveball. And that's strike 1. Mets leading 2-1. 2 men out, bottom half of the third. Well, that could really pick it at first base was Ferris Fain, and he just got picked up for picking it at home. He was growing marijuana in his backyard. There's a block call against Gooden.
Well, the second block of the game. Let's see. Yeah, it might have been his head. It might have been his head and shoulders rather than not stopping. Let's take a look at it again.
Everything has to stop.
Yeah, he thought he was on a basketball court. Watch the head. The shoulders. The head stays, the shoulders start. I think Dwight puts too much emphasis on that move to first base. It's going to hurt him if he continues because they will call blocks against him. A power pitcher, ordinarily you're going to steal off a power pitcher. An example, Nolan Ryan kicks the leg way up. Therefore, you're going to get a good jump off a power pitcher. The trick is to get on first base against the power pitcher. But I think it's being overemphasized, the move to first base, and probably too much in Dwight Gooden's case.
This ball looped out toward left field. Going forward is the shortstop, Elster. He makes a dive. And he makes the catch. What a play by Keven Elster. And that was as spectacular a play as you can see. That ends the inning as Foley is out.
Well, this is the reason they want to put Keven Elster at shortstop. He went a long way. McReynolds could not have gotten this ball. What a glove by Keven Elster. Outstanding play.
Certainly saved a run, and the Mets still leading as we go to the top of the fourth by a score of 2-1. A spectacular play by Keven Elster as he saves a run for the New York Mets, making a great play on a pop-up that was almost impossible to catch. And Tim McCarver, how many of those did they do against you?
Well, not many. I tried to get away from that little looping fly ball down the left field line. Howard Johnson leads it off here in the top of the fourth, 2-1 New York, and the curveball misses. Howard struck out his first time up. Martinez has struck out 3. He's walked 3. 1 earned run, the home run by Strawberry, and an unearned run, the error by Tom Foley, opening up to a single run in the third inning. Change up and a beauty, 1-1 to Johnson. Hojo, a tough spring. Batted .207. He did have 4 home runs. But it's the back-to-back years you have to put together, don't you, Ralph?
If you're going to be regarded as a star in this ballgame.
Toughest thing to do is be consistent. Lined by Foley. Base hit for Johnson. Looked like a changeup.
Martinez has thrown some fine changeups in this game. But this time, throwing a changeup to Howard Johnson, who usually is vulnerable to the change. And this off-speed pitch, he gets the end of the bat on the ball, and you can see the strength that Howard has. He pulls that ball in the hole right through the right.
Fran was talking about how quick Howard's bat is. Sometimes it's too quick. He's got just lightning hands. Here's Keven Elster. Those same lightning hands on defense. The jury's out as to his offense, even though he did hit .312 last year. Tidewater deep to left field. Rains back. This ball is out of here. Home run, Keven Elster. 4-1, New York. Maybe the jury has just returned.
That was a very short jury. Boy, did he hit that ball a long way.
Mercy.
Keven with 8 home runs last year at Tidewater and his first home run this year. And I want to tell you, that ball was up there about 25 rows deep. There was no doubt about it. Well, the Mets had not hit a home run off Martinez all last year when he was 4-0 against them and had an earned run average of 0.64. Right here, they get their second home run of this ball game. Strawberry the first, and Elster gets a 2-run home run, his first of the year.
So after that sparkling defensive play, Fran also talking to him before the game. It's ball 2 to Gooden, 2-0, and Reed wants to chat. So I guess the butterflies that Keven was talking about is going to bring are gone, and butterflies are free, right?
Boy, they got to be gone now. That is his first major league home run.
Wow.
And it was a major league home run.
See your teammates hand you cups to get you water when you hit home runs. They do everything for you.
I found that out a long time ago.
369 times. Randy St. Clair now warming for the Expos. 4-1 New York. 2-1 to Gooden. Popped up, shallow right field. Brooks limps in, and he makes the catch. Hubie is kind of like Jim Brown was when he got off the ground after being tackled.
He looks like he could never make the next move.
Keven Elster, sparkling play to save a run in the bottom of the third, and his first major league home run. And he's rubbing that right elbow. Davey Johnson, I'm sure, hoping he didn't hurt it on that skid down the left field line. And here's Dykstra. Lenny 0 for 1. He's been on base twice. Strike one. Man, that was no cheapie either, was it? Change up high, 1-1 to Dykstra.
You know, he's a big, strong kid, and he's going to get stronger.
Only 23 years old, out of Southern California. His brother, the business editor of the Long Beach newspaper, brother Pat. Foul back, it's 1-2 to Len Dykstra. You know, 3 of the 4 runs driven in this game off Martinez by right-handed hitters. I'll tell you something I got from the Elias Sports Bureau that is very revealing. 2-2. Over the last 7 years, right-handed hitters each year have hit much better against Martinez than left-handed hitters.
And that's amazing because he throws a good curveball.
That is the that really is. That's the longest streak of any active right-handed pitcher in the major leagues. Swing and a miss by Dykstra, 2 outs.
This is a good fastball right here. He sets that fastball up as he is not a hard-throwing pitcher. He does get it up there pretty well by that good changeup.
Here's Tim Tuffle. Timmy 1 for 2. He singled and then was erased on a double play in which Fernandez hit in the first inning. 4-1 New York. Ball 1. Now the changeup catches the inside corner. One of those inadvertent changes, headed outside and stayed inside, 1-1. Another changeup, 1-2 to Tuffle.
Tuffle single off a fastball his first time up, 1 for 2 today.
I may have gone for the head fake. That may have been ball 2. It may be 2-1 as opposed to 1-2. Another changeup. That's 4 in a row he's thrown to Tuffle, 2-2.
Of course, he knows Tuffle from the American League. Tuffle coming from the American League to the New York Mets.
Traded for Billy Bean, the outfielder. Curveball just misses. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Tim Tuffle. The Mets with 1 in the second, 1 in the third, 2 in the fourth. The Expos actually had the lead with their solo run. Single by Hubie Brooks to drive in Webster in the first. Another changeup gets Tuffle. So a fine piece of pitching by Martinez, his 5th strikeout. But the Mets scored 2 on the 2-run homer by Elster. And it's 4-1, middle of the fourth. We'll be back. A junior Met, I guess you could say, and appropriately, the Mets and Farmland Dairies are proud to announce the return of the junior Mets clubs, now open for membership to Mets fans 14 and under. Members will receive exclusive club items, including color action baseball cards, an official junior Mets digital sports watch, discount ticket coupons for special junior Mets Farmland Dairies club games, an invitation to a junior Mets Farmland Dairies baseball clinic at Shea, plus much, much more. To join, send $6 or $5 plus 2 proofs of purchase from Farmland Dairies Milk to Junior Mets Club, Post Office Box 4777, Trenton, New Jersey, and the zip code 08650.
And with opening day here today, the 1988 season promises to be one of the most exciting seasons ever. So make your plans now in order to get the best seats available. Tickets for all Mets home games are now on sale at all Ticketron outlets, Shea Stadium's advanced ticket window, or by calling Teletron at 212-947-5850. By mail, or call 718-507-TIXX during regular business hours for more information. Let's go for it again at Shea this season and catch all the action and excitement of your New York Mets. It's baseball like it ought to be, so get your tickets now.
And Ralphie, home run hitters talk about home runs, so talk about it.
Well, I'll tell you, this is a major league home run. His first in the major leagues, and he gets that low fastball, and there is no doubt about it. He knows it's gone. He's going to enjoy it as he goes down the line, watching as Rock Raines turns around to see if it's going to be in the upper deck or not. It's back there about 20 rows.
So Kevin in his home run trot for the first time in his major league career. Leading it off for the Expos here in the bottom of the fourth, Luis Rivera. He singled his first time up. First pitch fouled away.
Rivera's first major league hit was a base hit that broke up a no-hitter by Bob Ojeda, single up the middle. There's Hubie. Ubi, I guess it is.
It doesn't matter. But they love him up here. 0-2. Ubi or Ubi, second on the list of Fred Bird. Of course, that's a very select list, and it's only our list. 0-2 to Rivera.
Fred Bird, the St. Louis Cardinal mascot. And when they were talking about the Cardinals football team moving out of St. Louis to Phoenix.
1-2 to Rivera.
And of course, the Cardinals football team very unpopular because the Cardinal people, the St. Louis people, didn't want to see them go. They said that Fred Bird got more appearances than the entire football team.
Oh boy, good piece of hitting by Rivera. Both curveballs and both good ones. He singled up the middle his first time up, and now on another yellowhammer.
Well, he hit only 156 in spring training, but after a fine year last year at Indianapolis where he batted .312, Rivera 2 for 2 in his first game here this year. There's the ever-popular Yubi.
Jeff Reed now the batter with nobody out. Rivera at first. Rivera did hit 156, but he finished strong. He battled an 0 for 22 slump in spring training, and the curveball catches. The Expos with 1 run, 5 hits. They've committed a costly error that led to a run in the third. The Mets with 4 runs, 6 hits, and no errors. 4-1 New York. Ball 1, 1-1 to Reed. Little surprise, Keith's holding Rivera on. Not much of a threat to run.
Not trailing 4-1, although he does have fairly good speed. He had
Fairly good.
24 stolen bases in the minor leagues last year. But you got the catcher and pitcher coming up, although they could go to a pinch hitter.
And they're trailing by 3 runs. That's the major thing. Gooden, as Fran and you pointed out, already balking with Wallach at first base, not a threat to run. And there are good balks, Ralph, just like there are good walks and bad walks. There are good balks and bad balks, meaning that you can understand why. If Raines is on first, you can understand a balk, for instance. Ground ball up the middle, flagged by Gooden. Tough play, Tuckle, but he gets it. 1-4-3, and on the play, Rivera moves to second.
Gooden would have been better off if he hadn't touched this ball, as it could have been turned into a double play by Tuffle. It would not have gone through. But it's a natural reaction to try and stop everything. Gooden, a great athlete. He tries to come up with it. Tuffle has to change directions, and he does get it over to first in time. Of course, you have a catcher running.
Jeff Reed has a stolen base. As a matter of fact, he stole 1 base last year. Stay off the catchers. You got to deal with 2 of them, so
I got 2 to take care of.
You can't win. Here's Martinez. Only the 4th inning, so understandably, Buck Rodgers allowing Dennis to hit, and he fouls it back. 0-1 to Dennis Martinez. Doc working rather deliberately. Just misses downstairs. 1-1 to Martinez. I think on opening day, too, you have a tendency to be a little more deliberate.
Martinez set the pace, and it was a slow pace.
As you pointed out, all those throws to first. Ground ball towards short, and Elster properly goes to first base, and they're 2 away. On the play, Rivera moves to third. 2 outs in the batter, Tim Raines. And I'm not going to call him Rock. I don't believe in changing the name of Tim.
Tim is a good name, and he doesn't like it. Well, his son is called Little Rock.
I guess that's pretty good reason to change it. If your son's named Little Rock, you'd be Papa Rock. So with Rivera at third, 2 outs, the Mets up 4-1. It's Doc to Rock.
Lots of rock.
Lots of rock. Over 50,000 on hand here at Olympic Stadium in Montreal, opening day. Line down the left field line, base hit. Rivera scores. It's 4-2, and Raines is going to stop at second.
One of the reasons why Raines is such a good hitter is that he can hit tough pitches, and this was a very good pitch. Right in on him, a fastball. He just serves it off to left field. Last year he batted .330, and he picks up an RBI with 2 men out. A big RBI for Tim Raines. Let's look at how he muscles this one off to left. Gets his hands inside, and then that is what they call an inside-out swing.
So rocking Doc, he's at second. And here's Webster representing the tying run. Curveball and a bunt. Carter falls over his feet, and that is a terrible play, even if it worked. You're leaving it up to the next guy. That's bad baseball right there. In this semi-journalist's opinion.
I agree with you, Tim. You got the drive-in runs, and you don't do it with bunts. All you do is move up a runner with 2 men out and leave it up to the next batter. You have runners on, of course, now at 2 bases. But you're looking for the long ball in that spot. Yeah. And you're behind in the ball game. So Webster takes the easy way out, picks up a base hit. That doesn't hurt his average any, but it puts the pressure on Hubie Brooks, and Hubie can handle that pressure. But all the way around, it's a very odd play, and I'm sure not looked upon with an affirmative look.
Yeah, here's Hubie Brooks, a good 2-out hitter now, granted. Ground ball to short, and that's exactly what we were talking about. The Expos score only 1 as Webster's erased at second. It's 4-2 New York after 4, and we'll be back.
Tonight at 10:30, catch the show of Lee Zeidman and his special guest, Daily News columnist Phil Pepe on New York Sports Nightly, special edition. They'll discuss the Yankees' outlook for the 1988 season. That's New York Sports Nightly, special edition tonight at 10:30. It's live and exclusive on Sports Channel.
All right, Ralph, top of the 5th inning. Dennis Martinez has given up 2 home runs, one to Darryl Strawberry in the 2nd inning. The other, Keven Elster's 2-run shot. RBI single by Kevin McReynolds, and the score is 4-2. The Expos scoring on an RBI by Hubie Brooks and an RBI double by Tim Raines. Tapper toward third, tough play. And a beautiful play by Wallach, and he shows you why he was a Gold Glover 2 years ago. 1 out.
Oh, Wallach, one of the best third basemen in baseball, bare hands this one, and he has to get Keith Hernandez, and he makes a very accurate throw. Tim Wallach.
Dislodged as the Gold Glove third baseman in the National League by Terry Pendleton of the Cardinals last year. 2 very, very gifted players. And speaking of gifted players, Strawberry 1 for 1. His first home run, his first at bat. He was intentionally walked his 2nd time up. Lined up the middle. Good play, Rivera. Infield hit for Strawberry, but Rivera really shows that the left side of the Expo defense is not maybe equal, but certainly close to the Cardinals' left side.
He has very good range and proves it with this stop of this hard smash up the middle. And it's only Strawberry's great speed that keeps him from picking up the out at first. He has to throw the ball from a tough position, gets it away very nicely, but unable to get the out. Good try, but no cigar.
Darryl Strawberry's 2nd hit, and here's Kevin McReynolds, who has 2 hits. Ball 1. One out, Strawberry at first, 4-2 New York. Change up, grounded toward third, but foul, 1-1.
This game, a big game for both of these ball clubs because you're playing in your own division. Last year, the Mets won 10 of the 18. And this club's certainly a contending ball club. If you want to beat the clubs in your division, it pays off twice as much.
Martinez has already picked off Dykstra, and he almost had Strawberry. Not going to see too many better right-handers moves in the National League. Close to a balk.
Like all good moves, close to a balk. And this is that spin again. and you're supposed to have your feet set.
It's an old Dodger move, too. You know, when
Don Drysdale move.
Don Drysdale engineered it. It is a balk. When you bend that front leg and you're still on the rubber, you bend the left leg as a right-handed pitcher, you're committed to go home. Martinez did that, but he went to first.
There
he
you
did
saw
it again.
right there, yeah. That little break in that knee. And, of course, that's what deceives the runner. And a balk is supposed to be called when you deceive the base runner.
Good point. There goes Strawberry, pitch out, and they got him easily. It used to be that if you threw to first, you never pitched out, but Buck Rodgers, an old catcher, and calls a lot of those, called a good one here.
He calls the pitch outs, and Montreal pitches out more than any ball club with the possible exception of San Francisco.
Yeah, right.
No doubt about it, as Darryl, even though the tag appeared to be like he was safe, the fact that the glove was in front of the bag is what made the call out.
He could have been safe. But ball beats runner, so you're automatically out. 2-2 to McReynolds.
Well, those umpires don't have that slow motion replay to look at. They have to go by what they see, even though they might be deceived by the fast action.
Oh, good curveball there. 6th strikeout for Martinez. But it's the Mets in favor of the Montreal EXPOS. It's 4-2, middle of the 5th. Ralph and I will be back after this word.
Teams in baseball in the National League, 4-4 St. Louis and Cincinnati in the 7th inning. And the Dodgers leading San Francisco in L.A. 1-0 in the 2nd. We were talking about the block move by Martinez. Watch that. There you see that left knee go into a bend. And technically, that pitch should go to home plate rather than the first. It's one of the great parts of a great move to first, and it was a Dodger move taught years ago, and, of course, picked up Don Drysdale was noted for it.
Don leaning on that left leg, and it would break, and he'd go to first and just freeze the runner over there. Tim Wallach leads it off here in the bottom of the 5th, 4-2, New York. Tim has hit 2 balls hard. He has 1 hit to show for it. He singled to right in the 3rd. Headed toward left, fielded by Elster, and he's got to put it in his pocket. 2nd hit for Wallach. And for the Expos, hit number 7 on the afternoon.
Well, Elster earlier went far to his left to make a great stop. Now he goes to his right, shows the range that he has as he backhands this ball, but he can't make the play from that deep position. So Wallach 2 for 3, and the one time they got him out, it took a diving catch by Dykstra.
That was hit number 8 for the Expos. We'll correct that. And Andres Galarraga, the batter. Kind of a situation, too, where Wallach is so tough to defend, Ralph. He singled to right his last time up. That probably pushed Elster toward the middle and left the hole open that gave him the base hit.
Had a great year last year.
Galarraga, 0 for 1. Grounded toward Hernandez, fair ball. Strawberry will throw to second, and Galarraga has a double. The Expos leading the majors last year in doubles, and this one a costly one yielded by Gooden. 2nd and 3rd, and nobody out.
Well, Galarraga, 2nd in the National League in 2 base hits last year with 40. Tim Wallach led the National League in doubles with 42, and here's his first of this year. Strawberry going into that corner. And now runners at 2nd and 3rd. Mets leading by a score of 4-2.
And speaking of 40 plus, something else is happening.
Well, Bill hit his 3rd home run in the 8th. A solo home run, and Toronto leading Kansas City 5-3 in the middle of the 8th inning. George Bell, who was so controversial this spring about being a DH after a great year last year as the MVP.
3 home runs on opening day. I can't think of too many times that that's been done.
I don't believe it's ever been done.
Tom Foley, the batter. Foley 0 for 2. Swing and a miss, 0-1. He has popped to short and struck out. I can't think of a time when it's been done.
I don't recall anybody doing that opening day.
Unless somebody did it for Seattle several years ago. I don't know. That sticks in my mind. Maybe it was early in the season. George Bell, the MVP in the American League last year. Inside, 1-1. You know, it's funny, Ralph. Now, every time a player has a tough time with a ball club or there is a dispute, it seems like the media all of a sudden says, trade him, get rid of him.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, George Bell, Darryl Strawberry, Dave Winfield. There are plenty of stories this spring.
The worst was the Strawberry Winfield rumor.
Oh, man.
That is as far-fetched as you can go.
Grounder towards second. Tuffle will go to first as the infield was playing back. Obviously, with the Mets up by 2, Galarraga moves to third base, but really a good at-bat by Foley. Not only an RBI with the out, but he moves the runner also.
Well, there are some good outs and some bad outs, and this certainly would classify on the good side as a run is driven in, using the fact that the infield was back, and they should have been with the time run at second and nobody out.
Now they move in, also for obvious reasons, because the tying runs at third base, middle innings, bottom of the 5th, 4-3 New York. Rivera has singled twice on curveballs. We'll see how Goodman and Carter working this time.
Got the first final score of this season is in.
All right.
Detroit 5, Boston 3.
Wow, Roger.
Losing pitcher was Lee Smith in the 10th inning.
Oh, boy. I was thinking Roger Clemens, huh?
He was out of there.
Ian Morris started that ball game. Lee Smith, welcome to the American League. 1-0 to Rivera.
Everybody was saying, how could the Cubs trade Lee Smith? Not that that means anything. It's just the first game of the year, but that's the way it went.
Certainly a squeeze situation. Buck Rodgers, one of the managers in the National League that advocates the squeeze. Outside, 2-0. There's one out. We're in the bottom of the 5th. It's 4-3 New York. Jackie Moore, formerly the manager of the Oakland A's, flashing signs. If you're a catcher, you don't want to look at the third base coach, but the hitter, and see if the hitter, because there's a return sign, to see if the hitter is returning the sign to the third base coach to be relayed to the runner at third. Ball 3, 3-0.
The reason for that return sign, you want to make sure the hitter knows the squeeze play is on, because you get that runner who is coming all the way no matter what. You want him picked up.
You don't want one guy to know the sign.
Plus, it's also dangerous to be swinging away and you're sliding home. That happened one time with the Mets with Tommy Agee coming in from third and Cleon Jones swinging away, and the bat went right over Agee's head. His eyes were really big.
There's a strike, 3-1 to Rivera. Now, they're less apt to squeeze here because the count is in favor of Rivera, but you never know.
The big thing about a squeeze play is the element of surprise, and it's usually pulled off when you don't think it's going to happen.
Galarraga not coming, and a one-hopper to Johnson. Over to Hernandez, 2 outs. So that's why you play the infield in. If Johnson were back in that situation, Galarraga, who runs fairly well, could have had a chance to score. So now there are 2 outs.
Howard looks the runner back and then sees him make his move back to third where he can't come in on the throw, and picks up the out.
So Galarraga still at third base, and the batter Jeff Reed, who's 0 for 2, a fielder's choice in the second, and he grounded to Tuffle via Gooden, a 1-4-3 putout in the 4th, a curveball for a strike. Ground ball up the middle. Elster can't get to it. Galarraga scores. It's 4-4.
Well, Reed comes through with a big 2-out single up the middle. The 10th hit picked up by Montreal as they tied in the 5th inning, just beyond the grab of Elster. And there's the swing of Jeff Reed, who gets his first RBI of the year. And it's tied at 4.
And Jeff Reed responsible for that. Dennis Martinez, the batter. Big 2-out hit for the Expos after the single by Wallach and the double by Galarraga. 0-1 to Martinez. Freudian slip.
There is a real Freudian slip right there. Sigmund would be proud of you.
1-1. Well, it's 10 after 5 Eastern time.
Cocktail hour.
1-1 to Martinez. 1-2.
Now all you have to do is call him dry and we'll have it complete.
Well, it's not going to be wet in here, not with the roof on. High and dry. 1-2 to Martinez. 4-4 ball game. Bottom of the 5th inning.
At least he's a high ball hitter.
Toast to that. Gooden has struck out only 1 in this ball game, and the fastball is high. Struck out Tom Foley back in the 1st inning. He also walked 1.
And hit 1.
And hit 1. Hit Galarraga in the 1st. Dwight Gooden, the only major league pitcher in the last 4 years with more than 10 wins and an ERA of less than 3.5 or under. Just less than 3.5. The only major league pitcher who's won more than 10 games and had an ERA of less than 3.5 over the last 4 years.
He's the only pitcher, with the exception of Spud Chandler, to have a winning percentage of over 700.
Wow. What a play by Elster to Tuffle, safe at second. Keven Elster with another sparkling play to no avail.
Well, he has certainly shown range out here in today's ball game. Made a spectacular catch of a ball in left center field near the foul line. Right here, he makes a great catch of a ball hit fairly hard over the middle. Tuffle unable to get there to make the tag.
Well, that's close at second base.
Makes a good throw here from this position.
Yeah, can it be? Wow.
11th hit off Gooden. And here comes Mel Stoudemire out.
And it also gets someone up in the Mets bullpen. It's probable that it's Terry Leach. But he's throwing overhanded, so it's not Terry, it's David Cone.
Gooden in spring training was hit fairly hard. You really don't consider spring training when you have a pitcher of his talent because it doesn't mean that much. He's not trying to rack up a good record in spring training. He's certainly not going to be happy with a bad record. But right here in this ball game, he's been reached with 4 runs on 11 hits.
I think most of the hits this afternoon, Ralph, have been the fact that Dwight has been wild in the strike zone. He hasn't used the corners, which is usually an early season indication of most pitchers. They don't have their control.
Is not sharp, not any kind of command on the curve. Here's Tim Raines, who drove in a run with a double back in the 4th inning, and he has runners at 1st and 2nd.
Fran Healy just tells us that he had a message from Jay Horwitz saying that's the most hits that Dwight Gooden's ever given up. How about that? Curveball, strike 1.
There's a good curve there.
Here it is, the 5th inning.
See all those hits against Gooden, you start to look for things like that.
Wow. Oh and 1 to Tim Raines. Change up, he lays off of it. 1 and 1. Well, let me throw these numbers at you. Not trying to paralyze you with numbers, but Dwight Gooden, 20 and 15 in the daytime with a 3.6 ERA, 53 and 11 at night. ERA under 2.
Does it count when you're inside?
Well, you got to call it a day game because it starts at 3, I guess. But they all look alike in here with the lights and what have you. You got to have the lights on.
Well, it did start in the daytime.
Tim Raines doubled in a run in the 4th. He walked in the 2nd and grounded out to second base in the 1st inning. He's 1 for 2.
Those statisticians, and there are so many now, gloating over those numbers.
Yeah, well, you know, those are staggering numbers. It's a staggering difference. Lined at Elster. So the Expos continue to hit Gooden hard. They tie it here in the 5th inning. They do it on 2 runs, 4 hits, and they strand 2. They have stranded 8 in the game, and that's the total number of runs scored, 4-4. The first ever home game here in Montreal. The first pitch thrown out by Rusty Staub earlier this afternoon. Rusty, Le Grand Orange.
They had 2 scheduled home openers. One was canceled because of the baseball strike, and the other was snowed out. So this is the first opener.
Strike in 72, the snow out against the Cubs in 1974. And here's Gary Carter, line drive, base hit up the middle. Webster on a fine play holds Carter to a single. Boy, good play by Mitch Webster, way around the left center. Carter has his first hit.
They were shading Carter as a pull hitter with the second baseman over behind second. The center fielder in left center field, and there you see Webster take off after it to cut it off. Good play as Webster hauls it in. Webster taking over center field. Herm Willingham, former Met player who came in the Carter deal, put on the bench.
Howard Johnson is 1 for 2. He scored a run in the 4th in front of Keven Elster's first Major League home run. Fastball inside corner, 0-1 to Johnson. Andy McGaffigan now up for the Expos.
Each team has had at least 1 hit in every inning.
11 for the Expos, 8 for the Mets. And those 11 for the Expos representing the most ever against Dwight Gooden in a ball game. Curveball, foul, 0-2. Martinez steps off. Why would you step off with Galarraga
behind the runner and Carter running?
Outside and high, 1 ball, 2 strikes to Johnson.
Martinez very, very deliberate.
Misses outside, 2-2. He makes Charlie Callis look like he's working fast. One of my favorite comedians. Outside, 3-2. Now do you send Carter?
I would have to send him.
I would too.
Johnson does strike out quite a bit.
But Martinez has lost a lot off his fastball. You know, he might throw the curveball here. You never know. If I'm catching, I throw the curveball to Johnson. I don't challenge him here.
He throws an awful lot of changeups, and he threw a bunch of them to Johnson before.
See if Carter's running. Not running. Fastball, swing and a miss.
That's why we're up here.
Well, you know, it almost looked like the fastball surprised him.
Yeah, it really did. Johnson struck out for the second time on a fastball. That's the 7th strikeout for Martinez in this game.
So Gary at first base now. Now Galarraga will move to hold him on. Not bad policy. Elster could bunt. He's a right-handed hitter. He's not a left-handed pull hitter. That's why he was behind Carter with Johnson hitting. Kevin takes a curveball, and you could book that. He's going to try to get him out with off-speed stuff after Elster hit his first major league homer, his last at bat on a fastball.
He struck Elster out on a fastball his first time up, and Elster jumped all over his fastball for the home run.
Kevin now leading the Mets in RBIs with 2.
One more than Strawberry.
And McReynolds. The Mets scored 1 in the second on the home run by Darryl Strawberry, the 3rd time in 5 years that he has homered in his first at-bat of the season. Home run number 148 of his short but illustrious career, to be more illustrious before he finishes. And then the 2-run homer by Elster in the 4th. The Expos scored 1 in the 1st, 1 in the 4th, and 2 in the 5th inning. It's 4-4. We're in the 6th.
Carter did not have a stolen base last season.
Checking to see how many he has lifetime.
He has a few because in the early days he did run a little bit.
Pretty well, yeah. Curveball is low. Ball 1, 1-1. So 2 curves in a row.
Carter actually started out playing as an outfielder.
Yeah, he was brought up to the majors as an outfielder.
John Bateman was a big catcher here at that time.
Gary has 36 stolen bases, his high 10 in 1978.
Also catching here is Barry Foote.
You know, Gary's 34 years old now, and after catching 1,657 games, trust me, things
the knees do.
Things happen to your legs.
The hinges don't work the same, do they?
But he continues to throw over. I'm looking at Fran Healy, too. But Gary, of course, losing all that weight over the wintertime. Maybe Martinez says he has rejuvenated legs. 1 out, 1 on, 1-1 to Elster. Tie ball game here in the 6th. On the corner, 1 ball, 2 strikes to Kevin. Well, it's kind of early to say it, but dinner is on me if this is not a curveball.
First game, you are buying tonight.
Right. Not that one. Now, that was a fastball, but this next pitch is going to be Uncle Charlie, Ralph.
I thought you were going on the replay. I haven't missed many of those replays.
Fastball, uh-oh.
There it is.
2-2. To show you how honorable you are, you didn't even say anything about it. I had to call it.
Well, we got the evidence there. We can run it back.
Pointed with the fastball in and now moves away. So it's going to be a fastball away.
The way he's pitching, he might be breakfast on you.
Or brunch.
Ellen's favorite.
Ellen Rubinoff, with whom we've worked for 5 years, says brunch is her favorite meal of the day. It's very strange to have brunch as your favorite. It's 2-2 to Elster. Fastball away. Carter dives back. He's had to have thrown over there 8 times to try to get the swift Gary Carter. Let's see when Gary's last stole a match. Well, he did. He had none last year. 1 in 86, 1 in 85.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Playing behind a pitcher like this is the most difficult of things.
Fly ball, center field deep, and Webster's back, and he makes a nice play. So Elster, who homered his last at bat, drives Webster deep to center, and there are 2 outs. And we're going to have a pinch hitter for Dwight Gooden, and it looks like Dave Magadan. So Gooden's out of there. 4 runs, 11 hits. All the runs were earned, and those hits represent his major league high. Not a bad move here.
Well, Dwight has thrown an awful lot of pitches, having given up all those hits. And the prime concern is always the total number of pitches. So Gooden will lead the ball game. And he, of course, leads with the score tied at 4-4, so no decision. His record in opening day games, 1 win and no losses. That win against Pittsburgh.
So David Cohn now warming. He'll be the pitcher in the 6th. It's a no decision only if the Mets fail to score here.
Oh, yes.
1-0 to Magadan. Gooden doesn't get a lot of chief wins that way. A lot of pitchers say no win's a chief win. Outside 2-0. Like hitters say no hit's a cheap hit.
No blue pits. Of course, Ron Darling is a fellow who's had an awful lot of NDs, no decisions. Bert Blyleven has more, though, than Ron Darling.
3-0 to Magadan. There are different types of no decisions, however. Bert Blyleven, having led the majors in home runs yielded 52 years ago, 46 last year, you would have to think that his no decisions are not as legitimate as Ron Darling's, who gives up much fewer home runs. We'll see if Magadan's swinging. Nope. 3-1.
Magadan hit .318 last year with 3 home runs. His first home run coming as a pinch hitter.
Off the left-hander, John Smiley. Took a little something off the fastball, so now Carter will be off. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 4-4 in the 6th.
And the changeup here, a good pitch in the 3-1 count. Wonder if he'll throw over to first now.
Well, if he does, it should be a balk because Galarraga's not on the bag. Yeah. There goes Carter. Curveball, foul tip. So Magadan just getting a piece of it. Dave, an All-American out of the University of Alabama, the Golden Spikes Award winner back in 1983. Has never, say never, in 6 years, has not hit below 300 anywhere. He batted .318 last year. Change up, tapped foul. Still 3-2. Carter once again, of course, will be running. It's 4-4. 11 hits for the Expos, 8 for the Mets. Darryl Strawberry and Keven Elster have homered for the New Yorkers. Top of the 6th inning. And once again, Magadan fouls one off. Over 50,000 here at Olympic Stadium. Buck Rodgers and the Expos, having last year won 91 ball games, the second highest total in Montreal history. Their highest, 95, back in 1979. Buck Rodgers, the manager of the year last year in the National League. Change up, once again fouled away. And boy, you love that if you're a catcher and you're at first base and you're running on the pitch and you get 4 straight foul balls.
Of course, the first day of the season, you can handle that. It's later in the year that it gets to
you. In the heat.
He's had a workout over at first base on all those pickoff attempts. He had to dive back in. Now 4 times he's been running on the bases on the 3-2 count. If you're not in shape, you will be.
Change up is high, so a fine at bat by Dave Magadan, working out the walk. That'll bring up a leadoff batter, Len Dykstra.
4th walk given up by Martinez in this game. He has struck out 7 and has given up a total of 7. There you see Larry Bernard go out there. 8 base hits.
Well, I'll tell you, Larry Bernard has done a wonderful job with this Expo pitching staff. Formerly with St. John's University, signed with the Mets back in 1962. Great guy and a terrific pitching coach. I mean, he has done more with the least, not to say that Dennis Martinez is not a good pitcher, but you consider the pitchers that they have. Tim Burke, Bob McClure, both obtained in trades. Andy McGaffigan, a trade. Dennis Martinez and Pascal Perez. Floyd Yeomans in a trade. Neil Heaton in a trade. So most of the Expos pitchers have been traded and tutelaged well under Larry Bernard, 1-0.
They give Larry Bernard the credit for making a good pitcher out of Neil Heaton. Tightened up his slider, tightened up the spin on that, also speeded up his delivery. He might have to work on Dennis Martinez about speeding up his pitching delivery.
Neil Heaton starting against the Mets on Thursday night. The throw to first, and Galarraga trying to sneak behind Magadan. And that, of course, has got to be a design play because Galarraga's got to know it.
Sign given on the play. Galarraga coming up from behind. Of course, the first base coach, Bill Robinson, has to really take care of you in this play. You got to be yelled at because you can't see the man behind you. Not a good throw to first. Magadan gets back in. Would have been safe on a good throw. So Bill Robinson doing his job as the first base coach.
That's a good point, Ralph, because the first base coach doesn't even look at the hitter with runners at first and second. He looks at the first baseman only. Fouled away, 1-1.
As soon as he sees that first baseman make a break toward the bag, he yells, "Get back," to the runner. You will watch Bill here as he sets up with his eyes on the first baseman. Takes a little guts because you're not looking at that hitter, and a line drive foul down there could get you.
Yep. 1-1 to Dykstra. Again fouled away, so it's 1-2. A lot of foul balls in this inning. And Martinez has thrown a lot of pitches. Ralph mentioned that he had walked 4. He has struck out 7. He's allowed 8 hits and 4 runs. I'll tell you, I would imagine that regardless of what happens, Dykstra's his last hitter. If Dykstra gets a hit and scores a run, they'll bring in McGaffigan. If Dykstra makes the last out, they'll start McGaffigan in the 7th inning, in my opinion.
I think it would be the move.
1-2 to Lynn. 4-4 ball game. Well hit to center. Webster's going to go back, way back, and this ball is out of here. Home run, Lynn Dykstra. And the weightlifting has helped already.
Center field home run by Lenny Dykstra with 2 men on base, and the Mets lead it by a score of 7-4. And that is their 3rd home run in this ball game off Dennis Martinez, who did not give up a home run to the Mets last year when he won 4-0. And there's the happy Lenny Dykstra.
And you'll never get on him again.
I was all over about his little weak hits before the ball game. He says he was going to do that this year, but right here, a monstrous home run to center field. And the Mets go in front by 3. Dykstra with just 10 home runs last year, but a big one here in this first game this year. 404 feet to that center field fence, and that ball over the wall. And Buck Rodgers has to be saying, did I go too long with Martinez?
Have I stayed too long at the fair? And
Yeah.
you know the interesting thing, Dwight Gooden, if the Mets hold the lead, will be the winning pitcher.
Gets the win on the plus side.
Long way to go. 1-0 to Tuffle.
Well, I think it's about time we start talking about the lively ball.
3 home runs, Keven Elster. Are we going to start this early?
Start this early.
Randy St. Clair and Andy McGaffigan warming. Outside, ball 2, 2-1.
George Bell with 3 home runs in the opening day game for Toronto.
George Brett, a home run his first time up. Darryl Strawberry, a home run his first time up. Change up, high chopper. Martinez gets Tuffle. But the 3rd home run of the ball game for the Mets produces 3 more runs. 6 of the 7 runs scored have been produced by homers. It's 7-4 New York, middle of the 6th.
Last year with a record of 5 wins, 6 losses, had 1 save. He was in 21 games last season, 13 as a starting pitcher. And he will be working here, trying to pick up a possible save in relief of Dwight Gooden, who has left the ball game. David Cohn.
Ralph, I think it's worth taking one more look at the man with his crew cut. Sampson cut all his hair off, or had it cut off, and he was weakened. Dykstra does the same thing, and look at this.
Pass ball, and this ball is hit to center field over 400 feet away. Mitch Webster back to look as it goes into the backdrop, and the Mets take the lead on a 3-run home run by Dykstra. And a happy Lenny Dykstra.
Wait till he sees you at the end of this game.
See, I agitated him into hitting the ball hard.
Here's Mitch Webster. Mitch 2 for 3 in this ball game. But the last one should be counted as a half a hit with Raines at second and 2 outs. Webster opted to bunt. That's right, bunt. With the Expos trailing by 2. And then Hubie Brooks grounded out to end the inning. That's how, and I'm not saying this about Webster, it's 1-1 to Mitch. Foul back, 1-2, but that's how reputations are built. Reputations of selfish ball players, because they're more concerned with their average than they are with runs produced. Now, mind you, I'm not saying that about Webster, but that's how reputations like that are built.
The implication could be assumed.
Inside, 2-2 to Mitch Webster. Hits are fine, but run production is the way games are won or lost. Lack of run production or run production. 3-2 to Mitch.
Runs batted in and runs scored.
You take, for example, Tom Foley's ground out back in the 5th inning, last inning, with runners at second and third. Foley made an out that scored 1 run, moved another runner to third as Webster walks. And
Webster, with a runner at second, gets a base hit, and no run is scored, and the way he went about it wasn't the proper way either. Therein lies the story of a productive out and a non-productive hit.
And a big part of that is the fact there were 2 out at the time.
Right.
Here's Hubie Brooks. Hubie 1 for 3 with an RBI. 7-4 New York. Bottom of the 6th. Good curveball, 0-1. Another curve low, 1 ball, 1 strike to Hubie Brooks.
Ground ball to second, could be 2. There's 1. Nicely turned by Elster, but he's safe at first base. Brooks really running hard down the line. Very close at first, but he was safe. 1 out.
The ball isn't hit too hard. Tupple feeds Elster, who makes a nice pivot and gets the ball away perfectly, but Brooks just outruns the play, so he stays out of the double play. That leaves the runner on with 1 out and brings up the dangerous Tim Wallach.
He is dangerous indeed. He's 2 for 3, 123 runs driven in last year. 1 strike to Wallach. One to Timmy. He didn't change his name. So Brooks at first, 1 out. We're referring, of course, to Tim Raines changing his name officially to Rock. I could understand a guy whose baptismal name is Rock changing it to Tim. I can't imagine anybody changing their name from Tim to anything.
Spoken like a man called Tim.
Sounds like a John Wayne movie. Fouled away, 2-2. Was he a football coach?
How about that? He's not listening to rock music, is he?
I'd have to change it to Tim music. Tim and roll.
Well, you can really see Wallach looking for the curveball there, moving in on that pitch. He got hit earlier in this game. No, he didn't. I'm sorry. That was Galarraga.
3-2 to Tim. See if Brooks is running.
And he is. Curveball got him the throw, and that could very easily be interference.
Carter's talking to the home plate umpire, but not getting the call.
Wallach was fooled on the pitch. Now, he's talking to him, and he's got a good point.
Well, right here now, the curveball totally fools Wallach. And he takes a weak swing, gets over there in front of Carter, and that's interference. There's no doubt about it. Carter's throw to second is short and goes into center field, but quickly backed up by Dykstra, so the runner has to stay at second.
Now, think about this, if you will. Why should Carter be penalized and have his lane blocked because Wallach was fooled on the pitch?
I don't understand it. Here it is one more time.
Now watch Wallach as he takes that half swing and then gets in front of Carter. And that definitely could be called. Look at this. Now he's right out there on the plate. He steps right in front of the plate. And it bothers Carter. He can't follow through with a throw, and it's short.
Right.
Here's Galarraga, fouls it away. Brooks, a stolen base, his first of the year. It's 7-4 New York, bottom of the 6th inning. Lots happened in this ball game.
Lots happened in the Toronto ball game. We mentioned that George Bell hit 3 home runs in that first game of the year. That's the first time that it has ever been done. 3 home runs in the opening day ball game.
So we thought it was right earlier, and it was. Hubie fails to advance. 1-1 to Brooks.
Right here, Carter again doing a good job on the curveball in the dirt. And that ball, you could see it bounce back away from the way it was going with the spin on it. Carter making the block.
Yeah, you do that as a catcher, of course, knowing the curveball's coming. You don't have to go out as far. Knowing the curveball from a right-hander will always bounce back to you. 1-1 to Galarraga. 1-2 to Andres. Did he go too far? Carter doesn't appeal. So it's 2 balls, 2 strikes to Andres Galarraga. 7-4 New York. After failing to hit a home run all of last year against Dennis Martinez, a year in which he was 4-0, the Mets have bombarded him with 3 today. Ball 3. That's the third 3-2 count in the first 4 hitters. Faced by Cone in relief of Gooden. Ripped foul. To tell you the truth, I lost that ball. I said ripped. I thought that ball was a line drive somewhere, and it's coming in. It's a good thing it wasn't headed for me. Hit me right in the coconut. That'd have been one of those Twix and Tweens. So Cone goes to the curveball. He struck Wallach out on it. He misses the Galarraga, and the batter Tom Foley. That's the second walk issued by David.
And that walk, a bad walk, as it puts the time right at the plate.
And Foley's got some power. He had 1 home run against the Mets last year. I think it was just 1.
Had 5 all year long, but he is a fine utility ball player.
It's this one deep to center, but playable. Dykstra back, and he hauls it in. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 2 left. The Expos have now stranded 11 in 6 innings. And that's why the Mets have the lead 7-4. Casey Candel enters the ball game in place of Tom Foley. He'll bat 9th since Foley made the last out. And the new pitcher, Randy St. Clair. Randy last year 3-3 in 44 games with Montreal. He appeared in the most major league games in 1 year of his career. He started the season with Montreal. He was farmed out on June 15th, but he returned 1 month later. Randy St. Clair in relief of Dennis Martinez, who yielded 7 runs, 6 of which were earned. 3 of them, 3 home runs, 6 runs, and Fran Healy back in for the play-by-play. Francis, this is a fun ball game, isn't it?
It really is, Tim. How about Keven Elster?
Unbelievable. Made the super play to save a run down the left field line, the 2-run homer, and the play behind second base that almost got the runner at second base back in the 5th inning.
There's Keven Elster right there. Of course, we can't overlook a muscular center fielder for the New York Mets, Lenny Dykstra.
You're not going to let Ralph up.
Well, I'll tell you, I
don't blame you.
I mentioned earlier, Ralph was all over him, and then we were down the field doing interviews, and you got him for his haircut.
Oh, yeah, I got to get on it.
He had a tough pregame warm-up. Well, Keith Hernandez is the batter. Keith facing Randy St. Clair. Keith is 0 for 2 with the walk in his ball game. He takes a fastball down low, ball 1. Buck Rodgers did a magnificent job with this ball club last year. Bullpen by committee. St. Clair, of course, they relied on Tim Burke quite a bit. Bob McClure from the left side. 1-0 on Hernandez. That ball's popped out of play. 1-1. 7-4, the Mets on top of the Expos here in the top of the 7th inning.
I know this may sound strange, but every game is a game unto itself. The games in April are as important as the games in September. But I think the important thing about Elster's performance today is it kind of rids everybody of Santana's memory and gives him a lot of confidence.
And Hernandez pops the ball up in the infield. Rivera calling for it, and he makes the catch. 1 down.
Well, let's look at some other National League scores. Ralph mentioned that tremendous day over the junior circuit by George Bell, the first time anyone has ever hit 3 home runs on opening day. At that pace, we might add, Bell will have over 600 home runs this year if he could keep it up. It's 4-4 St. Louis at Cincinnati in the 12th, and 5-1 San Francisco over the Dodgers, bottom of the 5th inning.
Speaking of home runs, there's a long drive. That ball is out of here. Home run, Darryl Strawberry.
That ball may have hit the lights up there. It may have hit the top of the stadium. I think it did. Darryl slowed down. I can't believe it. That ball hit the top of the stadium.
He's gonna get hurt.
He might get hurt with that swing, but not with that handshake.
It's tough getting down that low with your 6'6". Oh, boy.
You can get anywhere you want to with that kind of strength.
Boy, as he hammered the ball today, first game of the season for the Mets.
This ball hits the top of the stadium. Now, it didn't hit the orange in the stadium. We think it hit the concrete going around the stadium.
And Kevin McReynolds, it's out of here. Home run, McReynolds.
What's going on here? Is this a circus?
Unbelievable. Kevin McReynolds going to the bridge. 2 home runs here in the 7th inning.
And at this pace, the Mets as a team will have 810 home runs. They had 5 today. So if they can keep it up, and if Bell can keep it up, we're going to have some kind of season this year.
It's just unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, as soon as the ball leaves the bat of Strawberry, it's gone. Then McReynolds steps up, and he hits one, it's gone. Let's see what happens here. Carter.
That's the highest home run I've ever seen, I'll tell you that.
Carter takes outside ball 1.
You know, Fran, Webster and Brooks both went for the ball thinking they didn't know what it hit. I guarantee you, I didn't know what it hit. I didn't know what was going on out there. The ball hit the top of the stadium.
Hubie Brooks was confused.
So was I.
Yeah, so was I. I knew it was going out of someplace. That ball's popped up. Left field, Raines stays in the ballpark so he catches it. 1 down.
You know, Franny, it's conceivable that if the roof were not on the thing, that ball might have been hit out of the stadium.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's conceivable. We don't know where it hit.
That's quite a bolt, that roof up there. Now you see the padding, the roof of the stadium, and we think it hit up there near the concrete.
Oh, of course that material is a Teflon, and it's bulletproof, so he can't hit it out of here with the roof on. You can't even shoot one out of here. It's bulletproof.
Well, I'll tell you, he's got a shot at it. Didn't Dave Kingman hit one down the left field line?
Yes, but I don't think it was out, or was it out? It hit the facing. We're checking all sorts of things, folks. This is fun.
And Howard Johnson steps in, and he can jolt that ball also. He takes down low, ball 1. 1-0 on Hojo. 2 men down to 7th inning. Home runs, 2 home runs here. 5 home runs in a day. Most home runs by the Mets, obviously, in an opening game. The opening day of the season. Talk about Shea Stadium. You think it'd be rocky this year? Oh, Up high to Howard Johnson, 2-0.
4,458 home runs last year, the most ever hit in Major League history.
Wow.
We're the pace. We've checked that pace by Bell, and it's official that if he continues this pace, 486 home runs. To show you how that'll be over 100 more than Ralph Kiner hit in his career.
Well, there's Kevin McReynolds. He hit a home run. How about Lenny Dykstra?
Lenny can't even see that far. Steve Garland, the trainer, saying, there it is, Len, right up there. See, way up there. And Lenny's saying, boy, that's a poke.
Lenny's saying, well, what about my home run? Way inside on Howard Johnson. 3-1. Well, they'll be talking about Strawberry's home run for years to come.
2 years ago, if you remember, before the All-Star game down in Houston, Darryl Strawberry hit the speaker. Only one other guy had done that, Mike Schmidt. He did it during a game. Strawberry did it the day before during batting practice in a home run hitting contest.
Howard Johnson takes a strike. When you mention it hit the ceiling, that'd have been some bolt, huh? How high is that ceiling?
I don't know. Is that about, what, 210 feet or something like that?
That's a bolt.
In the dome about that, 210 or something like that?
That's close.
We got too many things to check in this game. Whatever happened to those 2-to-1 breathers? I mean, where you don't get excited or anything. 5 home runs by the Mets.
I love chaos.
Yeah. Well, you've had it here, pal.
We need some errors.
You're happy here.
Well, I am.
Well, that's our center field camera. We're trying to find the spot. And I would imagine there aren't too many spots of baseballs up on that area, or in that area. Oh, God.
What's the limit for Strawberry? 3-2 inside, ball 4. So Randy St. Clair comes in the ball game, and he's flinching.
You know, the interesting thing is Strawberry's going to be up again, and George Bell, Kansas City, against Toronto. George Bell of the Blue Jays has already hit 3, the first guy to do it ever, and Strawberry's going to have a chance to tie it.
You know, you're going to have people checking the balls and checking the bats tomorrow. Ralph mentions, is it too early to talk about the live ball? Speaking of home runs, here's the Mets' young shortstop, Keven Elster. He hit a home run in this ball game, a 2-run home run back in the 4th inning. He's 1 for 3. He's made some fine plays defensively. And there goes Hojo. And there is a line drive center field, but Mitch Webster's there, almost misplays the ball. Ball's hit right in the nose by Keven Elster, but the Mets go down here in the 7th inning. They pick up 2 more runs at the end of 6.5. There's the score, and we'll be back.
Well, the awesome strength and lift of Darryl Strawberry, and here it is once again. It is so high. Now watch Hubie Brooks. We know it hit the facade. We think it hit 4 lights over. Now what Brooks sees the ball bounce back. Nobody knows whether the ball's playable or not. But Darryl stops at second. That'd have been the longest ground rule double I've ever seen, I'll tell you that.
Talk about not knowing your power. He thought it was a ground rule double.
We found out that it's 180 feet from the floor to the facade, and we think it's 4 lights over. Not 4 regular lights, but 4 transformers over, which makes it even deeper into right field, over toward right center. That's unbelievable.
What a shot. Darryl Strawberry, 2 home runs in this ball game. The Mets have 5. And Darryl will bat again, so stay with us. David Cohn throws a fastball. It pops up. Keith Hernandez over by the dugout makes the play. So Luis Rivera pops to Keith Hernandez. He's now 2 for 4. So the young Montreal shortstop has 2 hits in this game.
All right, in the American League. Gosh, it's almost anticlimactic. George Bell's home runs are almost anticlimactic, because he had 3. How can that be anticlimactic? Toronto beating Kansas City 5-3. Detroit at Boston. Lee Smith took the loss 5-3. Smith coming over from Chicago. 12-0 Milwaukee over Baltimore. And 8-5 the Chicago White Sox over the California Angels, and that's the final, 8-5.
And it's 9-4 here in the bottom of the 7th inning. The Expos at bat, Jeff Reed, the batter. Now 1-1 on the Expo catcher. David Cone pitching to Jeff Reed. Inside to Jeff Reed. 2-1. I was talking to Ralph before, Tim, and I ran into Willie Wilson in spring training, and they were very surprised when the Mets were able to get David Cone away from Kansas City last year. Willie thinks that this kid's a potential 20-game winner. 2-2. And Jeff Reed.
Well, there's no way he's going to do it at the beginning of the season unless one of the 5 in the rotation goes down or is ineffective.
Fly ball center field. Muscles is out there. He makes the play.
Muscles Hulk, his teammates call him. Lenny Hulkstra is his new name. Lenny with 1 of 5 home runs for the Mets today. That ties an opening day record by a team. 6 teams have done it. If the Mets hit another homer, that will break a record for opening day home runs.
And here's Casey Candel. Hit a home run last year, his first major league home run. 1-0.
They'll be talking about that Strawberry home run all week.
Well, they'll be talking about
long time.
Yeah, you know how teams go into certain ballparks?
Yeah.
That's where he hit it up there. By the way, I believe they have a seat here in Montreal where Casey Candel hit his home run. Just got in down by the right field foul pole.
It's the shortest home run hit here.
That's right. And he gets a double right there. Will he stop at second? Yes, he will, wisely. So Casey Candel picking up a double off of David Cone with 2 men down here in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Casey's first at bat of the '88 season will be remembered. Certainly by Casey. And the guy who's fielding the ball, his opening day game will be remembered also.
26 years old, talking about Darryl Strawberry, and the sky's the limit. 9-4 as you look at the Rock. Rock reigns. Changing the name. The Rock, we get the Doc and we get the Rock. Speaking of the Doc, Doc Gooden might get the win. If things remain the same. A good fastball right there to Rain, strike 1. Harry Wendelstedt calling the balls and strikes. Dutch Rennet at first base, Randy Marsh down at second base, and Dana DeMute at third. They like to call those balks. This is going to be the year of the balk. 0-1 on Rains, down low with the breaking ball. 1-1. David Cone's finger is healed. The arm feels good. He's had a lot of trouble with that pinky. He hurt it originally in a football accident. Tackling a guy, he caught the finger in the face mask.
Wow, I didn't know that.
That'll ruin your day, won't it?
It doesn't hurt any more than it hurt last year when Atlee Hammaker pinned it against the bat on a bunting attempt. Same finger, huh?
Oh, yes, same exact. Nasty looking finger.
He has good things to say about your fingers, Fran. I don't, but he does.
Catcher's hands don't look good.
Here we are looking at our hands. How many fans, knowing we caught for a number of years, come up and want to look at our hands?
You had 4 decades of it. 1-2 on Rains.
Enough of it, I'll tell you that.
I remember last year you were in Atlanta walking by the batting cage, and Ted Simmons and I were standing there talking. You were walking away, and I said, man shouldn't be able to walk. He's caught 4 decades in the major leagues.
Teddy caught more games than I did, though.
Has he?
Yeah.
He's been around a while.
Sure has.
There's a ground ball to first base. Hernandez to Cone, and they get him. So that'll do it for the Expos here in the 7th. They fail to score, and after 7, there's the score, and we'll be back. Fans in New York talking about a potential Subway Series. You're watching the Mets in action live from Olympic Stadium in Montreal. They're leading the Expos 9-4. And tomorrow afternoon, the New York Yankees open up. They kick off the 1988 season against the world champion Minnesota Twins. That's the Yanks against the Twins tomorrow at 1, live right here on Sports Channel. Not available in all areas, and course, the Yanks with a good ball club, the Mets with a great ball club this year, and the possibility of a Subway Series. Of course, the last Subway Series, 1957.
No, 56.
56. I was just thinking about the Subway, though. It should be a taxi cab series because you don't want to spend too much time in those Subways. As you look at Andy McGaffigan.
Andy McGaffigan facing David Cohen the first time. Tell you about Andy in just a second. We've had too much going on this afternoon.
A lot of excitement. Opening day for the Mets here in Montreal. Cohen hits the ball, a chopper to second base. Casey Campbell gets him at first. Score at 4-3. One down.
Andy 5-2 last year. He worked in 69 games, 12 saves, 100 strikeouts. His first full season as a middle relief man, and he was the best in the major leagues, so good that he had to be put in the short role. That's the reason for his 12 saves. You get a middle reliever with 12 saves, he's had a wonderful year.
And wouldn't you categorize him prior to last year's kind of a journeyman ball player?
Well, yeah, I would.
And Buck Rodgers performed miracles up here in Montreal. As look at Lenny Dykstra, the batter, 1-0 on the Mets center fielder.
The theory, and I've talked with Buck about it at length, his theory is to keep all his relievers fresh. That's why Randy St. Clair worked 1 inning.
Fly ball, center field. Mitch Webster makes the play. 2 down.
Off day tomorrow. He's going to get everybody fresh. I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see somebody coming in. It looks like Jeff Parrott warming up right now. Maybe Tim Burke. He's going to get everybody in the ballgame. Not that they've given this game up. There it is, Jeff Parrott. He's going to get Parrott in the game and maybe save McClure and Burke in case the Expos come back and trail by 5. But that's good policy. You give guys good work. Buck Rodgers is a good manager.
Yes, he is. And we're in the 8th inning. Tim Tuffle's the batter. Takes up high, ball 1. Tuffle 1 for 4 in this ball game. You were talking about Martinez's trouble with right-handed batters as opposed to left-handers, with right-handers as opposed to left-handers. Talking to Davey Johnson before the game, he said Tim hit Dennis Martinez better than Wally Backman.
Tim Tuffle, the year before he came over to the Mets, hit 200. As you look at Martinez, says something for him staying out.
I like that.
Yeah, I do too. But Tuffle hit 280 or 288 against right-handers the year before he came to the Mets, and only 200 against left-handers. But Tim Tuffle hammered left-handers last year. I mean, hammered them.
And he takes a fastball inside, 2-1.
Tell you what he did last year. He hit as many extra base hits against left-handed pitchers as any guy in the major leagues. The only guy to hit as many was Jose Canseco. 30 extra base hits against left-handed pitchers.
This is a breaking ball right there, 2-2. So he was basically forced to hit left-handers when he came to the Mets, or he wouldn't be with the Mets. Then he hit them so well, he played a little bit against right-handers and impressed Davey. Well, the Met Ball Club, we talked about the paper before the game, and they're strong on paper. They're also very strong in the field.
All they need now is a paper field to play on.
Fly ball to right field. UB Brooks makes the play. And the Mets go quietly here in the top of the 8th. They fail to score. And at the end of 7.5 innings of play, there's the score, and we'll return.
Fans, Saturday and Sunday, April 16th and 17th, the Snapper Calendar Weekend. All fans, both days, will receive a full-color 1988 team calendar featuring all your favorite Mets. The calendar also includes a pull-out poster featuring Fran Healy. No, featuring past events in Shea in celebration of Shea Stadium's 25th anniversary. All courtesy of Snapper Lawn and Garden Equipment and participating Snapper dealers. Tickets available at all Ticketron outlets, Shea Stadium's advanced ticket window, or you can call 718-507-TIXX for more information.
They feature me. That company's going out of business. Here's another memo. Fans, don't miss out on all the exciting action of Mets baseball with your subscription to Inside Pitch, the Mets official newspaper. For $15.95, you get 12 monthly issues complete with feature articles on the players, inside information on the ball club, clubhouse clippings, plus much more. So call now, toll-free, 1-800-421-7751 to order your subscription to Inside Pitch, or stop by your local newsstand today. Nice newspaper. Met fans, you can stay up on all the information, and boy, they really cover the Mets. As you look at David Cone, bottom of the 8th inning, 9-4. The Mets on top of the Expos. 11 hits for the Mets, but the Expos about hit them. They have 12. One error in this game. Mets by the Expos. Stay with us. Darryl Strawberry should bat in the 9th inning. He's got 2 home runs in this ball game. He looks like he's locked in. He's looked like it all spring.
Sure has.
Mitch Webster, the batter, he takes a curveball for a strike. Webster 2 for 4 in his ball game. 2 for 3. Check it. He has a triple and a bunt single. And he takes down low. 1-1. Grew up around Topeka, Kansas. In New York, talking about a potential Subway Series. You're watching the Mets in action live from Olympic Stadium in Montreal. They're leading the Expos 9-4. And tomorrow afternoon, the New York Yankees open up. They kick off the 1988 season against the world champion Minnesota Twins. That's the Yanks against the Twins tomorrow at 1, live right here on Sports Channel. Not available in all areas. And, of course, the Yanks with a good ball club. The Mets with a great ball club this year. And the possibility of a Subway Series. Of course, the last Subway Series, 1957.
No, 56.
56. I was just thinking about the Subway, though. It should be a taxi cab series because you don't want to spend too much time in those Subways. As you look at Andy McGaffigan.
Andy McGaffigan facing David Cone the first time. I'll tell you about Andy in just a second. We've had too much going on this afternoon.
A lot of excitement. Opening day for the Mets here in Montreal. Cone hits the ball, a chopper to second base. Casey Campbell gets him at first. Score at 4-3. 1 down.
Andy 5-2 last year. He worked in 69 games, 12 saves, 100 strikeouts. His first full season as a middle relief man, and he was the best in the major leagues, so good that he had to be put in the short role. That's the reason for his 12 saves. You get a middle reliever with 12 saves, he's had a wonderful year.
And wouldn't you categorize him prior to last year's kind of a journeyman ball player?
Well, yeah, I would.
And Buck Rodgers performed miracles up here in Montreal. As you look at Lenny Dykstra, the batter, 1-0 on the Mets center fielder.
The theory, and I've talked with Buck about it at length, his theory is to keep all his relievers fresh. That's why Randy St. Clair worked 1 inning.
Fly ball, center field. Mitch Webster makes the play. 2 down.
Off day tomorrow. He's going to get everybody fresh. I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see somebody coming in. It looks like Jeff Parrott warming up right now. Maybe Tim Burke. He's going to get everybody in the ballgame. Not that they've given this game up. There it is, Jeff Parrott. He's going to get Parrott in the game and maybe save McClure and Burke in case the Expos come back and trail by 5. But that's good policy. You give guys good work. Buck Rodgers is a good manager.
Yes, he is. And we're in the 8th inning. Tim Tuffle's the batter. Takes up high, ball 1. Tuffle 1 for 4 in this ball game. You were talking about Martinez's trouble with right-handed batters as opposed to left-handers, with right-handers as opposed to left-handers. Talking to Davey Johnson before the game, he said Tim hit Dennis Martinez better than Wally Backman.
Tim Tuffle, the year before he came over to the Mets, hit 200. As you look at Martinez, says something for him staying out
I
here.
like that.
Yeah, I do too. But Tuffle hit 280 or 288 against right-handers the year before he came to the Mets, and only 200 against left-handers. But Tim Tuffle hammered left-handers last year. I mean, hammered them.
And he takes a fastball inside, 2-1.
Tell you what he did last year. He hit as many extra base hits against left-handed pitchers as any guy in the major leagues. The only guy to hit as many was Jose Canseco. 30 extra base hits against left-handed pitchers.
and misses a breaking ball right there, 2-2. So he was basically forced to hit left-handers when he came to the Mets, or he wouldn't be with the Mets. Then he hit him so well, he played a little bit against right-handers and impressed Davey. Well, the Met Ball Club, we talked about the paper before the game, and they're strong on paper. They're also very strong in the field.
All they need now is a paper field to play on.
Fly ball to right field. UB Brooks makes the play, and the Mets go quietly here in the top of the 8th. They fail to score, and at the end of 7.5 innings of play, there's the score, and we'll return.
Fans, Saturday and Sunday, April 16th and 17th, the Snapper Calendar Weekend. All fans, both days, will receive a full-color 1988 team calendar featuring all your favorite Mets. The calendar also includes a pull-out poster featuring Fran Healy. No, featuring past events in Shea in celebration of Shea Stadium's 25th anniversary. All courtesy of Snapper Lawn and Garden Equipment and participating Snapper dealers. Tickets available at all Ticketron outlets, Shea Stadium's advanced ticket window, or you can call 718-507-TIXX for more information.
They feature me. That company's going out of business. Here's another memo. Fans, don't miss out on all the exciting action of Mets baseball with your subscription to Inside Pitch, the Mets official newspaper. For $15.95, you get 12 monthly issues complete with feature articles on the players, inside information on the ball club, clubhouse clippings, plus much more. So call now, toll-free, 1-800-421-7751 to order your subscription to Inside Pitch, or stop by your local newsstand today. Nice newspaper. Met fans, you can stay up on all the information, and boy, they really cover the Mets. As you look at David Cone, bottom of the 8th inning, 9-4. The Mets on top of the Expos. 11 hits for the Mets, but the Expos about hit them. They have 12. One error in this game. Mets by the Expos. Stay with us. Darryl Strawberry should bat in the 9th inning. He's got 2 home runs in his ball game. He looks like he's locked in. He's looked like it all spring.
Sure has.
And Mitch Webster, the batter, he takes a curveball for a strike. Webster 2 for 4 in his ball game. 2 for 3. Check that. He has a triple and a bunt single. And he takes down low. 1-1. Grew up around Topeka, Kansas. A big Kansas City Royal fan growing up, and he takes down low. 2-1. I watch him swing the bat. He releases that bat with the front arm, carries the bat through. Charlie Lau philosophy, and I'm sure he read a lot about Charlie Lau when he was growing up in the Kansas City area. Of course, Charlie, the batting instructor with the Royals. Cone with a good fastball, 2-2.
Well, there are a lot of hitters that release the top hand, but they don't do it by design. The ones who do it by design are the disciples of Lau.
And there's a looper into left field, base hit off the bat of Mitch Webster. So Webster with 3 hits in this game.
Darryl Strawberry releases his top hand, but I bet Darryl never heard of Charlie Lau. He probably thinks he's a country in Southeast Asia. Little looper to left. Maybe a plural of Charlie Lau would be.
But Darryl can't hit, even though he doesn't read much about that philosophy. Well, here's UB Brooks, and he hits a drive to center field. He's really tagged this ball, and it's gone. Home run, UB Brooks. He continues to hammer his ex-team.
I'm not sure, but I think he one-handed that ball.
Charlie Lau.
Yeah, the old Charlie Lau, plural theory. Let's check it out here. He smokes this ball.
Yes,
he got all of it into it.
How about
he released it? I mean, you got to release it eventually. You'd be walking around with a bat in your right hand all season.
That was a pretty good pitch he hit.
Yeah. As Jim Cott used to say, no good pitch goes that far.
Yeah, that's a pitcher talking, right? the batter now, Tim Wallach. So it's now 9-6. Tim Wallach hits a fly ball to center field. Here comes Lenny. And he makes the catch. This is an exciting ball game.
It really is. Say, if this game happened in a playoff or a World Series, they'd be talking about it forever.
That's right.
Randy Myers, Roger McDowell now up to the Mets.
And the batter for the Expos, Andres Galarraga. He's 1 for 2 in his ball game. Hit by a pitch. He's also walked. And he hits a drive to center field. That's going to be over Dykstra's head. And he hits off the wall and a hop. Galarraga goes into second base with a stand-up double. Oh, we have some offense today. He's been known to hit a double. Last year, he hit 40 of them. He's got 2 in this game.
Tim Wallach and Galarraga 1 and 2 in the major leagues in doubles, or in the National League. And the Expos, as we said, the major league leader in doubles. And speaking of hitting and offense.
Yeah, he's a character. Greg Nettles. Signed with the he traded by the Atlanta Braves to Montreal for this specific purpose, pinch hitting. And here comes Davey Johnson. Hey, he's talking to Harry Wendelstadt. He's arguing. Now he's kidding with them. And they want the left-hander, Randy Myers.
Well, I really don't understand Davies arguing with Harry Wendelstadt. He didn't make a double switch.
Well, this call to the bullpen is brought to you by New York Telephone, who reminds you that a call can make a difference.
All right. With Harry Wendelstadt is he couldn't hear the announcement of Nettles, and if you know, obviously being a baseball fan, you know that a player must be announced to be in the game. And there's no way that Nettles is going to, I say no way, slim chance of Nettles hitting against the hard-throwing left-hander Randy Myers. So Davey was making sure that Nettles was announced, and we think that he was.
Well, Nettles is out of the game, and we're going to get a pinch hitter for Nettles. Dave Engel. The other right-handed hitter on the Expo bench, Mike Fitzgerald.
Randy Myers, on the other hand, as you take a look at Dave, Randy, the heir apparent to the left-hander's role in the bullpen, vacated via the trade route. Jesse Orozco going to the Oakland A's and the Los Angeles Dodgers eventually. Last year, Randy had 6 saves. He was 3-6. His ERA unusually high for a short reliever, but he was a middle reliever earlier in the year. 3.96 ERA, 54 games did he work. He walked 30. He struck out 92.
He can get that fastball up there in a hurry. Well, there's Greg Nettles. Now, Nettles in his prime could hit anybody's fastball.
Got that right.
And he's talking to Ron Hansen right there.
We think that he was announced, but we're not sure. Ralph says he was announced. But you know, last year in the Metrodome, everybody found out how very difficult it was to hear. The decibel level even affects the guys on the field.
And Dave Engel, who at one time was a Twin, is the batter.
Good going.
1 out. Runner on second base. Myers. Engel. Fly ball, right center field. Strawberry's over. Makes the catch. And the runner tags. Hustles to third base, so Galarraga will be closer, 90 feet closer to home plate. But there are 2 outs. So with 2 men down, the score 9-6. The Mets on top of the Expos.
Randy talking to Howard Johnson, and Howard probably reminding him that he is an outstanding bunter. He had a bunch of bunt base hits last year in Indianapolis. He bunted against the Yankees for a base hit over the weekend.
And we're talking about Luis Rivera.
Only know that because we read the paper this morning. It happened yesterday. Also hit a home run against the Yankees yesterday.
Yankees and the Expos played up here over the weekend, drew some pretty good crowds, but unlike this crowd today, opening day, 55,000 on hand as Rivera takes a strike. Now Rivera in this ball game has 2 hits. We were talking earlier in the game how it's more difficult to hit when you have to drive in the run. There are 2 men down. Playing shallow in the outfield and shading him to hit the ball the other way. Takes another fastball for a strike, 0-2.
That was great. Our camera stayed on Howard Johnson. See what a third baseman does in a bunting situation. He wants the hitter to think that he's playing in. And you saw him, Howard, in there, but now he's back because the count's 0-2, and the likelihood of Rivera bunting is almost nil.
So it's 0-2, 2 outs. 9-6, Mets on top of the Expos. 11 hits for the Mets. 15 hits for the Expos. White Gooden could win his first game of the season. Fouled off. Now it remains 0-2.
You know, you kind of discount, Fran, that 0-2-1-2 theory about making a hitter hit your pitch with a guy like Randy Myers, because Randy's a hum baby from Vancouver. There's Fitzgerald. You talked about him earlier. Randy's a rare back and throw it. Here it is, hit it. But when you try to, it's going to be 93 miles an hour.
And here it is. Swing and a miss, strike 3. That was 94. And that'll do it for the Expos here in the bottom of the 8th. But they pick up 2 runs. And at the end of 8 complete innings of play, and by the way, Darryl Strawberry will bat in the 9th. It's 9-6 Mets.
And the Mets return to Sports Channel Sunday at 1:30 when they slug it out with veteran superstar Michael Jack Schmidt and the Phillies at Veterans Stadium, about 100 miles south of New York. That's the Mets and Phillies Sunday at 1:30 live right here on Sports Channel. If you don't have a chance to get down to see the Phillies and Mets, as often happens, well, you can catch them right here on Sports Channel. And the new left-hander, Bob McClure, who was 6-1, an outstanding year last year. But to give you an idea how he was used, he was in 52 games and worked 52 innings. So he's a 1-inning pitcher.
Yeah, Buck Rodgers did a great job with the bullpen last year. Bob McClure's the guy I caught in Kansas City when he first came up. But the best pickoff move I've ever seen. It had to change because they've been enforcing the balk rule. And Keith Hernandez leads off against McClure. Darryl Strawberry will bat against the left-hander. And then it'll be Kevin McReynolds. McClure with that slurve for a strike to Keith Hernandez. McClure, by the way, also had one of the best curveballs I've seen as a left-hander coming out of the minor leagues. And then they fooled with him and made him throw a slider. Now he's got a slurve. And Tim McCarver researches whether or not the on-deck hitter did anything against Bob McClure. He did.
Last year, June 16th, he had a 2-run homer against Bob McClure. Darryl Strawberry. Maybe going for it, too. Pardon me, Fran.
Popped up. Foul territory. Wallach will catch his ball. 1 down. So, theater at its best. We have subplots. Here's a subplot. Darryl Strawberry take him to the bridge. He's got 2 in this game.
George Bell has already broken a long, well, it's never been done before. Not a long-standing record. Hit 3 home runs today against Kansas City. Opening day, 3 dingers, and Strawberry's got a chance to equal that.
I'll tell you, Strawberry has to have the longest home run of the day, though.
I'll guarantee you.
1-0. There's the heater. He jams him. 1-1. I'll tell you, it's worth watching that home run off the bat of Darryl Strawberry many times.
Well, I think we'll see it many times.
Good possibility.
This week in baseball may be changed to this world in baseball to follow that ball.
Mel Allen will be saying going, gone in a hurry. Inside to Darryl Strawberry.
He'll also be saying, how about that?
How about that? Mel Allen, quite a guy. What a rich history. A slurve that, I guess, hits the inside part of the plate. 2 balls and 2 strikes. 1 man down. Mets on top of the Expo. And Darryl picks up a cheap single.
That was higher, it'd have been out of here.
I know it. He gets the hardest base hits I've seen.
How about his day today? 2 solo home runs and 2 singles. However, he was caught stealing in the 5th inning.
Yeah, that's a bad game.
Boy, that's terrible.
Oh, he hits the ball
How can
so
you
hard.
have that happen on a day like that? Oh, man. He double clutches on this curveball. Darryl obviously delighted. Watch this. It shows you how strong he really is. Front foot, fooled, rope to right.
Ralph Kiner's happy about those hips opening up.
It also gives you an idea. Here's McClure leaving the ball game now. Pitching to 2 hitters. And I would imagine Jeff Parrott would be the pitcher. Yep, that's Jeff Parrott. And as he calls the bullpen, this call to the bullpen is brought to you by New York Telephone. It reminds you that a call can make a difference. Jeff Parrott, who was 7-6 last year, 45 games. You notice all the Expo pitchers, especially the relievers, had a lot of games worked last year. He did have 6 saves. I really like this guy. I think this guy is one of the sleeper right-handers in the league, and if a team could come up with Jeff in a trade, I think he can be a very, very, very good short reliever. Jeff Parrott.
So Jeff Parrott now will pitch to the New York Mets. By the way, it's 9-6. And look at Ralph up there. Relax.
Our research man. Sitting in the catbird seat.
Ralph likes these home runs, no doubt about
He
it.
loves it. You got to love this game today, huh, Ralph? It's great.
Ralph,
it has been a great ball game.
And it's a 9-6 game. The Mets on top of Montreal. 15 hits for the Expos. 12 for the Mets.
I'm not really the only one who likes Jeff Parrott. As a prospect in the California League back in 1985, this I think is very interesting. The managers in the league voted Jeff Parrott a better prospect than Will Clark and Mark McGuire.
Who are the managers in that league?
They're no longer in baseball.
They're now scouting.
Selling tickets on Broadway. Not scouting, scalping.
Oh, Will Clark. Oh,
and kind of a pup out of Jeff Reardon's kennel.
Yeah.
Looks just like him.
Jeff Reardon, of course, had tremendous success here in Montreal after being traded away from the Mets. He's now doing the job so well out in Minneapolis with the Twins. Here's a guy doing the job. Kevin McReynolds quietly doing the job. 9-6. Darryl Strawberry in first base. Reynolds takes a ball. 1-0 on Kevin McReynolds. 1 man down. They check Strawberry at first base. I think so much has been written and talked about Strawberry with the 40-40 club that he has that on his mind also. He'd like to get into the 40-40 club.
Well, I was talking to Darryl before the ball game, actually in the hotel lobby today, and I was telling him something about reading in the Elias marvelous sports analyst book. That's a great throw right there.
Really was. Jeff Reed has thrown out Strawberry twice in this game. That'll give you a complex first game.
No, it won't.
Not when you hit those home runs, huh?
He won't have to worry about any caught stealings. Oh, that's a great throw by Reed. Strawberry had a pretty good jump, too. He's out easily.
Reed's made 2 perfect throws on Strawberry. And McReynolds hits the ball down the right field line, and it's foul.
Anyway, talking to Darryl and the parallel Darryl Strawberry made between the, as Elias calls them, the Blessed Trinity that played in New York back in the 50s, Mantle, Mays, and Snyder. And Strawberry has 3 times as many stolen bases as Snyder, twice as many as Mays. Only Mays is ahead of him at this point in his career. Strawberry with 147 home runs coming into this year. Mays had 155 at that time.
Oh boy, there's a long drive, and that ball's gone. Home run, Kevin McReynolds, his second of the game.
And that breaks the Major League record for home runs by one team on opening day. How about that?
Ball
sound like
I know it.
My fault.
That ball shot out of the ballpark. Oh boy.
And this is also the last time the Mets had 5 home runs in a game was in Montreal, June of last year. They've done it 7 times. The first time they've had 6 in a game. Holy cow.
Balls are jumping over the wall here in Montreal, especially off the bats of the Mets. Parrott throws a breaking ball up high to Gary Carter. So Kevin McReynolds 4 hits in this game.
Smokes an inside fastball with the count 2-1. And at this pace, go ahead, Freddie.
962 home runs. Oh boy, the Mets come out smoking here at 88. Wow. And McReynolds doesn't get excited about it. Lenny's still talking about his home run. He's telling Kevin McReynolds about his own home run. And Gary Carter walks. So Gary hustles down to first base. Gary on the day, 1 for 4. Lenny Dykstra sitting next to Kevin McReynolds. Just tuned in, McReynolds and Strawberry, 2 home runs apiece. You almost have to give Strawberry 3 because of the one he hit. Hit it 9 miles here in Montreal. Here's another guy who can hit the ball over the fence. Howard Johnson. Johnson 1 for 3, and he goes down, ball inside.
Well, I'm surprised that hadn't happened before. I mean, pitchers have got to protect their territory, and their territory is not to allow a hitter to lean out over the plate. That's a knockdown pitch, and it should have happened earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to, if you're a pitcher, you got to protect yourself out there.
That was probably misdirected. They probably should have done it to Strawberry.
Well, I mean, you know, you just got to, you know, it's not that you want to hit anybody or anything like that, but you got to protect yourself.
And there's a drive to left field. Raines is there, and he makes the catch for out number 3. But the Mets pick up another run here in the 9th on a solo home run by Kevin McReynolds. And as we go to the bottom of the 9th, the Mets lead the Expos 10-6.
Oh, Randy Myers trying to save it for Dwight Gooden. Gooden worked 5 innings, gave up 4 runs, and of all things, Franny, he gave up 11 hits, the most hits he's ever given up in his major league career, and here he stands a very good chance of winning this game.
Yeah, and you know, you mentioned something interesting before, Tim, that he would, he really hasn't had any cheap, you can't remember a cheap win. So Mike Fitzgerald will lead it off against Randy Myers. He takes ball 1. 55,000 plus on hand for opening day here at Olympic Stadium in Montreal. Good fastball right there, 1-1. Of course, the Mets open up a week from Tuesday in New York, Shea Stadium. That place should be jumping. Be jumping all year in Flushing. And the 1-1 pitch. Popped up down the right field line, foul territory, and it drifts out of play.
Gosh, what if this game were at Shea?
Oh!
It would be hanging off the rafters. I wonder where Strawberry's ball would have gone at Shea. You know, that's an interesting thing. Only they talk about dome stadiums, and up here in bad weather, you wouldn't even be able to start this game today, raining outside. Not only that, you got to be able to gauge home runs like Strawberry hits. That's the good reason for Dome Stadium.
Well, that ball was smoked.
Hit the facade. 4 light. What are they called? What are those light? Well, they're light positions. I guess. What are they? 18 in a row. 16 lights. There he is. And it's about right above where he's standing. Now count 4 little bunches of lights. I don't know what they're called. What do I know? Electrician?
No, bunches of lights.
Bunches of lights over to the left, and that's where it went. Darryl's standing about right under where he hit it right now.
They'll talk about that home. They'll have to put a mark up there. Usually they color a
helicopter to get to it.
No. Howard Johnson throws it away, but nice play by Hernandez to save Howard Johnson from getting an error.
A lot of first basemen get hurt on types of plays like this. You got to really give with it. And Hernandez, sure enough, holding his right arm. There's Darryl in the bottom of his screen. Now go up about 180 feet. That's how high that facade is. Darryl standing about under where he hit that facade. That's a long way, folks. You got to have a big ladder. From the top of your screen, 4 lights over, about straight away right field, and he hit that facade. That's remarkable.
Yeah, it is. Casey Candell, the batter, 1-1 count, 1 out. Once again, it's 10-6. The Mets on top of the Expos. 13 hits for the Mets, 15 for the Expos. The Mets have they've left 6 runners on base, and the Expos have stranded 13.
At least 1 every inning.
Ooh. 2-1 on Candell.
They've stranded 1 every inning, and they've never had the bases loaded in this inning. See that little yellow seat there? Willie Stargell poked one up there.
And so they colored that seat. What do you color for Darryl's? Now look at where Darryl hit his.
See, that's that yellow seat. Now check, now go up about another 120 feet, and that's where Darryl hit his. You know, that's awesome.
Oh, that really is.
You're having fun just explaining this stuff. I've never talked about anything like this before.
I'd like to see him find the seat where Casey Candell hit his home run. Strike 3 as Candell goes down on strikes. 2 outs.
Fans, by the way, we talked about opening day. Franny mentioned it. As you see this fastball breezing by Candell.
I like it.
Blew the candle out. Well, opening day's a complete sellout. April 12th, a week from tomorrow. For those of you who will be attending opening day at Shea, we urge you please to come out early and take public transportation if possible. Gates will open 11:35. Come out and watch all the festivities. Game time 1:35, and you'll see this gentleman as the first hitter of the afternoon.
Rock Raines. Rock Raines, 1 for 5 or 1 for 4 in this ball game. When you have the years that Tim Raines has had, do you change your name?
I don't think so.
Nah, not at all.
Or the other side of it is you can do anything you want to.
That's right.
We talked about Stargell's home run. We talked about Strawberry's home run, the tremendous high shot today. Now let's take a look at Casey Candell's home run. That's all right. That'd be fun. Listen, any home run's a home run. Just get it over the fence.
That's right.
Right near that usher there. And they have a little marker there, and they kid Casey about it. It's his only major league home run.
2-0 on Rock Raines. 2 outs. 10-6. Opening day, Olympic Stadium, Montreal, Canada. The Mets beating the Expos. This is match point right here. 3-0 on Rock Raines. If the Rock gets on, it'll be Mitch Webster. Fouled off. Remember 10 years ago,
Wait a minute, was that a 3-0 count?
Yep.
Trailing by 4 runs?
You had to take
Wait
it.
a second. Wait a minute now. What's going on here? That was a 3-0 count. He's swinging at the 3-0 pitch.
That's right.
You know, what's going on?
I was about to say 10 years ago it never happened. Even 3-1. He might have chased a bad ball right there. 3-2.
I don't understand what's going on here. 3-0 count, you're down by 4 runs, and Tim Raines with 2 out and nobody on in the last inning swinging at a 3-0 pitch.
Well, now
it's possible he didn't know what the count was.
Because he was worse.
Well, it better have not. It's not. I don't know. It better have been that, though.
Fly ball, right field. Darryl Strawberry's there, makes the play for out number 3, and the Mets have their first win in 1988.
Strange game, man.
Boy, it really is. And the Mets picking up their first win, obviously, over the Expos. Opening day here at Olympic Stadium, 55,000 on hand. And as the Mets congratulate one another,
I want to congratulate you.
And I'll congratulate you.
Thank
We'll
you very
congratulate
much.
Ralph.
Right, nice going, Ralph.
And Ralph left. And we'll be back with more right after these messages.
It's the Subway Series Summer, starting in April right here on Sports Channel, the official channel of the New York fans.
Welcome back to Olympic Stadium, Montreal, Canada. 10-6, the Mets beat the Expos, and what a day it was for the New York Mets and Darryl Strawberry.
Well, I tell you, Franny, none of us have ever witnessed anything like what happened today. A Major League record, a Met record of 6 home runs on opening day, a Met record as far as games are concerned. It's the first time they've hit 6 home runs in a ball game. Tremendous shot by Hubie Brooks of the Montreal EXPOS, 7 home runs in the game. I'm telling you, we've got a new launching pad in the National League, I think.
And it's not an easy park to hit home runs, obviously.
No, it's really not. I mean, you know, even though the Yankees were commenting, I understand, over the weekend, how the ball is traveling very, very well here.
Now, how about the play Keven Elster made, by the way, which is our Budweiser play of the day?
Kevin made it in the 3rd inning with a runner at second base and 2 outs. Watch this play by Kevin going, and I mean ranging. We talk about his range and how much more range he has than Rafael Santana. It's really not fair to compare Major League players, but when you see Elster range that far toward the line, you realize that a comparison has to be made.
Tim, you're the manager of the Mets.
No, I'm not.
Well, say you are.
Don't you get me in trouble. No.
How do you feel coming out of this ball game?
Well, you obviously feel. I mean, it's just one ball game, but I think more than anything else, you're glad of 2 things. You're glad that Dwight Gooden got the win today because he gave up more hits than he's ever given up in his career in 5 innings of work, and only 4 runs, but 11 hits. And you're also glad that Keven Elster got the first game under his belt, and that belt might be, at least the head may be swelling a little bit tomorrow with the 2-run homer and the way he played defensively.
And one note in the ball game, an offensive note, Keith Hernandez was hitless.
Yeah, well, that's good, though. I mean, it's not good that he was hitless, but it's good that when a guy like Keith goes hitless, the other guys can pick him up from the Mets standpoint. The home run that Strawberry hit, though, is just so awesome. I mean, it just defies description. As a matter of fact, I didn't describe it. I didn't know where it was. Neither did Hubie.
And we've been trying to describe it throughout the ball game. And right now, you're going to take a look at here it is. Darryl Strawberry just clobbering this ball.
Well, you know, one of the interesting things also is Hubie Brooks, this is the first time he started in right field, first Major League game. You know, he's got to be saying, wait a minute, is it going to always be like this? Look at Darryl. Now, Darryl stops. Hubie picks the ball up, throws it to Candell, and Candell's saying, wait a minute, it's a home run. Darryl didn't know. He continues his trot home, and when you hit one that far, you ought to be able to trot.
I'm telling you, he's going to hurt his back going down, slapping hands. Okay, right now, how about the Texaco star of the game?
I don't know if we've decided that, but I think it's an easy decision.
I was going to say,
even though Kevin McReynolds had 2 home runs also, but Darryl, because of this monster shot, for his 2nd home run, 4 base hits. He was caught stealing twice, but who cares?
And you know what's interesting? Kevin McReynolds had 4 hits in the game, 2 home runs, and once again overlooked. Because I guess, you know...
Well, he was kind of overlooked, but I mean 6 home runs by the Mets, but only because of Strawberry's mammoth shot his second time up.
Of course, Kevin McReynolds is quiet home runs, 2 home runs in his ball game. Lenny Dykstra, home run.
Lenny's not quiet.
No?
So Lenny will be talking about his in the lobby tonight.
As you mentioned, Keven Elster, but once again, the Mets victorious over the Montreal EXPOS, and the final score 10-6. The Mets again beating the Expos opening day here at Olympic Stadium in Montreal, Canada.
All right, Franny, the Mets in first place. They'll be tied with a few teams today after the day is over. Remember, tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock, the Yankees open the 88th season against the world champion Minnesota Twins. Wednesday at 8 o'clock, it's round 1 of Islanders Stanley Cup playoff action when the Isles take on those Devils from New Jersey. And on Sunday, the Mets return to Sports Channel when they square off with Mike Schmidt and the Fightin' Phillies at 1:30. For Ralph Kiner, Fran Healy, this is Tim McCarver saying so long until Sunday, and thanks for watching Mets baseball on Sports Channel, the official channel of the New York fans. We've earned it today, folks.
New York Mets baseball has been brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. By your Tri-State Toyota dealers who invite you to come in and test drive a Toyota and ride for the best. By today's TWA, find out how good we really are. And by Texaco, star of the American Road.